Chapter 3495. Pil Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Now, I will open the door to the Pil Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. After you enter, you can choose the books you want. However, let me make it clear that the restrictions in this pavilion are very powerful. If your Pil Array skills are not up to par, it is best not to enter rashly. Otherwise, your life will be in danger. Yu Jinghuan reminded them in a serious tone. Then he took out an array flag and took it out. The moment Yu Jinghuan made this move, the 20 elders behind him also took out array flags and took out array flags in unison with Yu Jinghuan. 21 array flags floated in the air, forming a terrifying whirlpool. Finally, the whirlpool landed in front of the door of the Pil Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Bang, bang, bang. The surface of the Pil Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion rippled with a strong array Dao, and it emitted a dazzling light, as if it was resisting the array flags. In the end, the array Dao ripples calmed down, and the door in front of the Pil Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion slowly opened. Inside the door, a blazing white light shot out. It was extremely dazzling, and it was impossible to see what was inside clearly through the door. "You guys can go in," Yu Jinghuan said indifferently. As soon as he said that, the restless crowd in the plaza impatiently rushed into the door. At this moment, in front of the plaza, Jiang Pinghui was not in a hurry to enter the Pil Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Her beautiful eyes landed on Chu Xiangdi, and she softly said, "Senior brother Chu, is what you said true? Junior sister, when have I ever lied to you? That Zhu Wenlin most likely has a soul secret technique. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to make those 6 cultivators faint on the ground from a distance. Those 6 cultivators' cultivation bases are even higher than Zhu Wenlin's," Chu Xiangdi said with an earnest smile. Jiang Pinghui nodded slightly, but her beautiful eyes landed on Zhu Wenlin, who was not far away. When she saw that Zhu Wenlin was about to enter the Pil Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion, she frowned and rushed out to stop Zhu Wenlin. Chu Xiangdi followed behind Jiang Pinghui. His eyes were calm, and no emotions could be seen. Originally, Zhu Wen and Zhu Wenlin planned to enter the Pil Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion, but they were quickly stopped by a beautiful figure. Junior sister Jiang?" Zhu Wenlin's eyes widened as he stared at the beautiful woman in front of him in disbelief. He didn't expect that Jiang Pinghui would actually find him. This was too unexpected. One had to know that Jiang Pinghui's Pil Array talent and beauty were second to none in Pil Array Immortal City. Inside the city, countless young prodigies were in love with Jiang Pinghui. Even Chu Xiangdi, who was following behind Jiang Pinghui, was in love with her. Zhu Wenlin was no exception. However, in Zhu Wenlin's opinion, the gap between him and Jiang Pinghui was too big. He didn't even have the courage to get close to Jiang Pinghui, let alone pursue her. He had never hoped that Jiang Pinghui would take the initiative to look for him, because he knew that the probability of this happening was too small. But now, Jiang Pinghui actually took the initiative to look for him. Zhu Wenlin's heart beat very fast, and his face involuntarily turned red. Zhu Wen frowned slightly. He glanced at Chu Xiangdi behind Jiang Pinghui and guessed that Jiang Pinghui had come to find Zhu Wenlin for the so-called soul secret technique. "Senior brother Zhu, hello. Junior sister has something to ask senior brother Zhu. I wonder if senior brother Zhu has the time?" Jiang Pinghui's voice was very gentle, and it made people feel like they were bathed in the spring breeze. Zhu Wenlin laughed foolishly, rubbed his head, and quickly nodded. "Junior sister, feel free to ask. As long as senior brother Zhu can do it, I will satisfy you." Zhu Wen held his forehead, and he secretly cursed in his heart. This Zhu Wenlin was really a blockhead. Couldn't he see that Jiang Pinghui came to find him for the so-called soul secret technique? Seeing that Zhu Wenlin agreed so readily, Jiang Pinghui's beautiful eyes flashed, and she said with a charming smile, "I heard from senior brother Chu that you have a soul secret technique. Junior sister, recently, my Pil Array Dao is about to break through, but my soul secret technique is still lacking. I wonder if senior brother Zhu has the time to let junior sister have a look at the soul secret technique?" "Senior brother Zhu, don't worry. Junior sister won't take senior brother Zhu for free. I also have a remnant copy of a soul secret technique. I can temporarily leave it with you as a deposit. Jiang Pinghui lowered her posture very low, and her voice was even gentle like the sound of nature. Zhu Wenlin had long been turned numb all over by Jiang Pinghui's voice, his mind wandering. However, when he heard Soul's secret technique, his entire body trembled, and his expression immediately changed. This Soul's secret technique, he definitely did not have it. Even if he wished to take out 100 Soul's secret techniques for Jiang Pinghui, he did not have it either. After all, he did not have this thing. Zhu Wen's eyes revealed a look of interest. He was originally planning on letting Zhu Wenlin send this Jiang Pinghui away. But hearing that Jiang Pinghui actually had a remnant copy of a Soul's secret technique on her, he was immediately interested. Junior sister Jiang, it's actually like this. Zhu Wenlin was originally planning on refusing, but Juan interrupted him. Senior sister Jiang, I can naturally lend that Soul's secret technique to you. Inside here is senior brother Zhu's remnant copy of Soul's secret technique. I went to his place to borrow it a few days ago to view it. I want to learn it and haven't returned it to senior brother yet. Juan took out a jade slip and handed it to Jiang Pinghui. This jade slip recorded a portion of the contents of the Soul Sword essence. He had refined it on the spot on purpose. This portion of the contents could only be used for comprehension and could not be cultivated at all. After all, the contents of the jade slip were not complete. No matter how talented Jiang Pinghui was, it was impossible for her to learn the Soul Sword essence through this portion of the contents. Jiang Pinghui took the jade slip and casually scanned it with her divine sense. Immediately, she revealed a look of joy. Although the contents of the Soul Sword essence in the jade slip Zhuowen gave her were incomplete, it was very beneficial for her to comprehend and perfect her soul. Thank you. Jiang Pinghui thanked Zhuowen, took out a jade slip, and handed it to Zhu Wenlin, saying, This is the Soul secret technique that I obtained. Senior brother Zhu, please take a look at it. Obviously, Jiang Pinghui did not take Zhuowen seriously. In her opinion, Nguyen might be Zhuowen's servant, so she did not waste time talking nonsense with him. Zhu Wenlin took the jade slip and hurriedly waved his hand, saying, I trust junior sister Jiang. There is no need to check it. Zhuowen's forehead was full of black lines. This Zhu Wenlin was too unreliable. He was not prepared to check it. Fortunately, Zhuowen's soul was strong. After checking the contents of the jade slip in Zhu Wenlin's hand and confirming that it was indeed the contents of some soul secret technique, he withdrew his divine sense. Thank you, senior brother Zhu. I will enter the elixir array Celestial Monarch's pavilion first. Jiang Pinghui smiled sweetly, turned around, and entered the elixir array Celestial Monarch's pavilion. Chu Xiangdi followed closely behind. Brother Zhu, we can go now. Zhuan patted Zhu Wenlin's shoulder. Only then did the latter come to his senses and scratch his head in embarrassment. Master, this jade slip is for you. Zhu Wenlin transmitted his voice to Zhuowen, and secretly passed the jade slip that Jiang Pinghui gave him to Zhuowen. Zhuowen took the jade slip without batting an eyelid and entered the elixir array Celestial Monarch's pavilion with Zhu Wenlin. Although there were many people in the square, the elixir array Celestial Monarch's pavilion was not small. Therefore, all the participants in the grand competition of the Immortal City in the square quickly entered the elixir array Celestial Monarch's pavilion. Yu Jinghuan kept the array flag, and the elixir array Celestial Monarch's pavilion's door closed again. The surrounding array rippled, and the grand array overlapped. At the same time, many light spots began to appear on the first floor of the elixir array Celestial Monarch's pavilion. These light spots were like stars, constantly flickering and moving inside. Chapter 3496. Strange Light Spots. Great Elder, Jiang Pinghui is the most likely person to reach the top among all the people who have entered the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. Let me congratulate you in advance. The second elder, Gong Yushu, who was standing beside Yu Jinghuan, laughed heartily as he cupped his fists at Yu Jinghuan. The other elders also congratulated Yu Jinghuan in advance. They all thought highly of Jiang Pinghui. After all, she was the best in alchemy array among the younger generation. Second elder, your disciple, Chu Xiangdi, is not bad either. I remember that his alchemy array skills have reached the peak of the creation grade not long ago. He is not weaker than Pinghui. Yu Jinghuan shook his head. Although he said that, his face was filled with gratification. Xiangdi's talent is not bad, but compared to Pinghui, he is still lacking. Great Elder, you don't have to thank me, Gong Yushu said with a faint smile. Yu Jinghuan did not say anything. His gaze fell on the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. He had already noticed that 2 light spots had entered the second level. That's fast. It hasn't been long and 2 people have already entered the second level. They should be Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi, Gong Yushu said with a smile. Yu Jinghuan nodded with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Jiang Pinghui was his favorite student, and the better the latter performed, the brighter his face would be. At the same time, the light spots on the first level disappeared and a few rays of light appeared in the square. Those who had been eliminated were sent out of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. As time passed, the number of people who were sent out gradually increased. The moment Zhuan entered the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial, he felt his body sink. A blazing white light rushed toward him, causing him to be unable to open his eyes. After his eyes had adjusted to the white light, Yun could see his surroundings clearly. What appeared in front of him was a huge pavilion. Inside, there were rows of bookshelves. The bookshelves were made of white jade and they emitted a crystal-clear light. They were bright and dazzling. Books were neatly arranged on the bookshelves. Zhuan casually browsed through and discovered that these records were all related to alchemy formations. The pavilion was very spacious and bright, but Zhuan was surprised to find that he was the only one in such a large space, and there was no one else around. But how was that possible? So many people had gone in, and the pavilion should have been filled with people. However, after he entered, he was the only one there. Zhuan suddenly discovered that a book on the bookshelf in front of him had disappeared into thin air. After a while, one of the books on the other bookshelf disappeared, and he sensed the energy ripples of the array breaking. In other words, the restriction on the bookshelf had been broken right before his eyes, but there was no one in front of him. So that's how it is. You used formations to set up so many parallel spaces? Everyone who enters the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion will enter a corresponding parallel space, and the books in these parallel spaces are shared. Zhuan came to a realization. It was because of the countless parallel spaces set up by the Array Dao, and because the books on the bookshelf were shared, that the books on the bookshelf in front of him had disappeared into thin air. To be more precise, they did not disappear into thin air. Instead, a cultivator from another parallel space had broken the restriction on the bookshelf and taken away these books. Zhuan walked around and discovered that the books on the first floor were more basic and shallow. Even if he studied them, they would not be of much use to him. He only had the opportunity to obtain those 3 books. Among them, the True Pill Array Records and the 6 Desires Spirit Congealing Sage Pill Recipe were things he had to obtain. Moreover, these 2 books were very precious and were at the top of the pavilion. Zhuan found a staircase in the corner. However, there was a restriction on the staircase. If he wanted to go up the staircase, he had to break the restriction. The restriction on the first floor was not strong. To Zhuan, it could be easily torn apart. Zhuan went up level by level. Soon he arrived at the 20th floor. The books on the 20th floor were beginning to be interesting. At least, it had already aroused Zhuan's interest. Not enough. Zhuan shook his head and continued to climb up the stairs. He was very clear that if he wanted to find a book that was useful to him, he would have to go at least above the 60th floor. Following that, Zhuan quickly went up, almost without stopping. Great Elder, there is a light spot that is extremely fast. It instantly surpassed the first 2 light spots. Who is this light spot? Outside the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion, an elder in the elder group pointed at an inconspicuous light spot that surpassed the 2 light spots that represented Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi. The light spots represented by Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi were originally far ahead. At this moment, they had already reached the 45th floor. However, this 3rd light spot was very strange. In just 10 breaths of time, it actually went from the 20th floor to the 46th floor. It was 1 floor higher than Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi. Great Elder Yu Jinghuan also noticed this light spot. He frowned and said in a low voice, This is really strange. There is actually someone who is faster than Jiang Pinghui and Xiangdi. This kind of guy in the Pill Array Immortal City is definitely not a nobody. Why have I never heard of him? Yu Jinghuan thought for a while but still could not figure out the identity of this light spot. In his opinion, among the younger generation in the Pill Array Immortal City, Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi were the most outstanding. The rest of the younger generation were still lacking. Let's wait and see. Who knows, this light spot might be Jiang Pinghui. Gong Yushu laughed. Second elder is right. This person might be Jiang Pinghui or Xiangdi. Previously, he might have stayed below for too long. Now, he suddenly increased his speed. Yu Jinghuan also agreed. He also thought that in the Pill Array Immortal City, there would suddenly appear a Dark Horse level junior who could surpass Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi. Look, that light spot actually went up 20 floors in just 10 breaths of time. It actually reached the 66th floor. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. Yu Jinghuan and Gong Yushu's body trembled. They quickly looked over and saw that the strange light spot had indeed reached the 66th floor. Moreover, it was still climbing. In just a short while, it had already reached the 70th floor. The two light spots closest to this light spot were still at the 50th floor. There was a difference of 20 floors. This difference was too obvious. Yu Jinghuan frowned. The higher the floor of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion, the more terrifying the restrictions were. The restrictions on the 70th floor were already very terrifying. With Jiang Pinghui's level, it was actually a bit difficult for her to reach the 70th floor. Could it be that this light spot is really not Jiang Pinghui? Chapter 3497. Doubt? Is it the 70th floor already? Zhuan tore open the seal on the 69th floor and walked up to the 70th floor. He found that there were far fewer bookshelves on this floor. There were only a few bookshelves in the vast space. However, the bookshelves on this floor were made of high-quality materials. They were sparkling and translucent, as if they were forged from some kind of extremely precious jade. Zhuan began to use his divine will to browse. He found that the level of books on this floor was very high. Basically, they were all at the ascension level. Of course, most of them were at the early stage of the ascension level, as well as some high-grade pill recipes. Zhuan retracted his divine will, a look of regret in his eyes. He did not find the recipe for the 6 Desires Spirit Condensation Saint Pill on this floor. There are still 11 floors left. The recipe for the 6 Desires Spirit Condensation Saint Pill should be on one of the next 11 floors. Zhuan muttered to himself. He came to the stairs leading to the 71st floor, but he soon stopped. His expression became very serious. He found that in addition to the seal on the stairs, there was a very powerful sealing power. This sealing power was very strong. It was at the late stage of the ascension level. It was impossible for an ordinary divine formation master to break it. What's going on? Why is there an additional sealing power on the stairs? And this sealing power is so strong. Zhuan frowned. He found it a little hard to believe. He had a feeling that this sealing power was deliberately set up here. The purpose was to tell those who entered that the next floors were forbidden to enter. Only the 70th floor is open? It's a pity that my target is the last floor. Zhuan sneered. He took out several beast bone formation discs and began to break the sealing power on the stairs. The sealing power of the late stage of the ascension level was nothing to him. After all, his formation Dao had reached the half-step heaven breaker level. After a while, the sealing power shattered. Zhuan put away the beast bone formation discs and tore them apart. The sealing power on the stairs collapsed inch by inch. Zhuan took a step forward and climbed up the stairs, entering the 71st floor. Yu Jinghuan frowned slightly, but her gaze was fixed on the light spot on the 70th level of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. He suspected that this dot of light might not be his disciple, Jiang Pinghui. But if it was not Jiang Pinghui, then who could it be? Grand Elder, congratulations. Pinghui really hid her strength well. Her alchemy skills had actually reached such a terrifying level. She must have already broken through to the ascending heaven level. Such a young heaven-ascending Pillaray Grandmaster is rarely seen in our Pillaray Immortal City in 10,000 years. Gong Yushu smiled. He had no doubt that the light on the 70th floor was Jiang Pinghui, who was congratulating Yu Jinghuan. The other members of the elder group also followed suit, praising Jiang Pinghui's extraordinary talent and her future achievements. However, there was only one person in the Council of Elders who narrowed his eyes as he stared at the light of the 70th level. He seemed to be in a daze, and his eyes were filled with worry. This person was Buyang Rong. Among them, he was the only one who knew that the speck of light did not represent Jiang Pinghui, but Zhuowen. He had already experienced Zhuowen's alchemy skills. It was definitely above his, and at least at the ascending heaven level. It could be said that Zhuowen was the genius with the highest alchemy skills among all the participants in the grand competition of the Immortal City. However, he could not say it, nor did he dare to say it. He could only watch silently. He was really worried that Zhuowen would reach the highest level and obtain the true alchemy array record. If that happened, then it would be really troublesome. Even the Immortal City Lord would be alarmed. That Zhuowen should not be able to reach the highest level. No matter how strong his alchemy skills are, can he be like the Immortal City Lord, whose alchemy skills are half a step into the ascending heaven level? Buyang Rong shook his head and relaxed a little. He did not think that Zhuowen had the strength to reach the final level. As long as the true alchemy array record was not affected, then Zhuowen's performance would at most shock the entire Immortal City. It would not attract the Immortal City Lord's attention. At that time, this one would not blame him and would leave the alchemy array Dao domain. Then he and Zhu Wenlin would be truly free. If it's really Pinghui, then it's naturally for the best. If it's other young geniuses, then it's our Immortal City's fortune to have such a monstrous genius appear. Yu Jinghuan's words were very beautiful, and many of the surrounding elders nodded repeatedly. However, this light spot should have reached the peak, and it's unlikely that it will continue to rise. The Immortal City Lord has only opened the 70th level to the public. After the 70th level, basically no one can crack it and enter. Yu Jinghuan continued. His gaze was very calm as he spoke with assurance. Grand Elder, are you sure that the 70th level has been sealed by the Immortal City Lord? Suddenly, Gong Yushu's expression froze, and his gaze was very strange as he asked. Yu Jinghuan did not see the strange expression on Gong Yushu's face and said with some displeasure, "This is what the Immortal City Lord personally told me. Could it be false?" Gong Yushu smiled bitterly and pointed at the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Grand Elder, look over there. That light spot is moving again. Moving again? Did he go down? Yu Jinghuan turned his head and looked at the 70th level of the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Very quickly, he was stunned. That light spot was indeed not on the 70th level, but it was not on the 69th level either. It was on the 71st level. In other words, the owner of the light spot had broken through the restrictions on the 70th level stairs and entered the 71st level. This fellow entered the 71st level? Yu Jinghuan was dumbstruck. He was truly shocked. He was very clear that after the 70th level, every level had an additional type of sealing power in addition to the ordinary restrictions. Moreover, the higher the level, the more terrifying the sealing power was. For example, the sealing power on the stairs to the 71st level was already at the late-stage heaven ascension level. The following levels would only be more terrifying. But now, this light spot had actually entered the 71st level. It was obvious that he had broken through the sealing power. Didn't that mean that the cultivator represented by this light spot was at least at the late-stage heaven ascension level? This was even higher than many of the elders in the elder group. Grand Elder, Pinghui's alchemy array skills have increased too quickly. He has already reached the late-stage heaven ascension level. Gong Yushu also found it unbelievable. He licked his lips and asked somewhat embarrassedly. This light spot is not Pinghui. Pinghui's alchemy array skills are indeed very strong, but he is only at the peak of the creation level. He has not reached the heaven ascension level. There is no way he could have broken through the sealing power on the 70th level. Yu Jinghuan said with certainty. Gong Yushu smiled bitterly and did not say anything. He actually did not believe that this light spot was Jiang Pinghui, let alone Chu Xiangdi. Who is this person? Yu Jinghuan narrowed his eyes. He was really curious about who this light spot that had suddenly appeared was. Just who was this person? How could his array skills be so high? With this level of skill, even in the alchemy array immortal city, he could be ranked at the peak. Grand Elder, that light spot has already entered the 72nd level. Gong Yushu licked his lips and smiled bitterly. Chapter 3498. Finding the elixir formula. On the 75th floor, there were only 5 bookshelves. All the books were at the middle stage of the heavenly ascension level and were extraordinary. However, no one did not care about them. Moreover, there was no elixir formula for the 6 desires spiritual condensation saint elixir on this floor. Zhuowen continued to move forward. He had to admit that the sealing power on each floor was more terrifying than the previous one. When Zhuowen reached the 79th floor, the sealing power had reached the peak of the heavenly ascension level. After Zhuowen broke through the sealing power, he jumped to the 80th floor. The space on the 80th floor was not as big as the previous floors. There was only one bookshelf, which was made of some kind of precious golden jade. There were not many books on the bookshelf. There were only a few dozen books. However, every book was at the peak of the heavenly ascension level. If they were in the outside world, they would be treasures that people would fight over. Most of the books here were about elixir formulas. Only a few of them were about array formation. Zhuowen's eyes lit up. He saw a familiar elixir formula on the left side of the bookshelf. It was the elixir formula for the 6 desires spiritual condensation saint elixir that he had been looking for. Zhuowen was delighted. He started to break the restriction on the surface of the 6 desires spiritual condensation saint elixir. The restriction was not strong. It was only at the peak of the heavenly ascension level. Zhuowen did not spend too much time to break the restriction on the surface of the elixir formula. When he got the elixir formula, he was overjoyed. He knew that with the elixir formula, Moyan Wushang could be saved. After all, he had gathered all the ingredients for the 6 desires spiritual condensation saint elixir. Now, all that was left was the steps to make the 6 desires spiritual condensation saint elixir. Zhuowen kept the elixir formula solemnly and looked at the stairs in the corner. He knew that the stairs were the last obstacle to the 81st floor of the elixir array celestial monarch's pavilion. On the last floor, there was the remnant of the true elixir array record. Zhuowen wasn't in a hurry to enter the last level. Instead, he carefully read through the other books on the bookshelf. He chose a book called The True Explanation of the Alchemy Tao of Past Generations of Immortal City Lords. Zhuowen's alchemy Tao was still a bit away from breaking through to the half-step heaven breaker tier. He urgently needed more complete alchemy Tao manuals for him to comprehend and break through. And this book just so happened to satisfy his requirements. He knew that the past lords of Immortal City were all pill formation grandmasters who were half a step into the heaven breaker realm. The quintessence scriptures they wrote would definitely be of great benefit to him. After taking the 2 books, Zhuowen walked to the stairs. Half-step heaven breaker sealing power. Zhuowen stood at the top of the stairs and carefully observed the sealing power covering the stairs. His eyes revealed a look of surprise. It seemed like the Immortal City Lord attached great importance to the true pill formation record on the last floor. He actually set up a half-step heaven breaker seal here. It could be said that he had put in a lot of effort. Zhuowen's eyes were very serious as he examined the seal. He discovered that the Immortal City Lord's level was even higher than his. If he wanted to break through this seal, he would most likely need to spend a lot of time and effort to do so. Zhuowen took out the beast bone formation disc and began to crack the seal. At the same time, he threw the quintessence scriptures of the past lords of Immortal City to his clone in the Great World to study. He hoped that he could gain inspiration from this book and find an opportunity to break through his alchemy Tao level. Just as Zhuowen was in the process of cracking the seal, the outside of the pill formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion was very lively. Cultivators were constantly being teleported out of the pill formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. The originally spacious square began to appear a little crowded at this moment. Most of the cultivators who were teleported out of the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion immediately focused their attention on the light spot on the 80th floor. Heavens, who the hell is this person? He actually made it to the 80th floor. He's simply a god. It might be Jiang Pinghui. She's the strongest genius of the younger generation in our Pill Formation Immortal City. Other than her, I really can't think of anyone else. Even if it's that Jiang Pinghui, that's still a little exaggerated. Since the beginning of time, there have only been two people who have the ability to reach the 80th floor. One is the Lord of the Immortal City, and the other is the Great Elder of the Immortal City. It's impossible for there to be such a genius in the younger generation. Everyone was discussing animatedly, guessing the identity of the light spot on the 80th floor. Zhu Wenlin was mixed in with the crowd. His expression was somewhat complicated. He knew that the light spot on the 80th floor was Zhun. He had already tried his best to overestimate Zhuowen, but he still did not expect that Zhuowen would be so strong to be able to reach the 80th floor. At this moment, there were only 3 light spots left in the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. Other than the high and mighty light spot on the 80th floor, there were 2 light spots below. One was around the 50th floor, and the other was around the 45th floor. Suddenly, the light spot on the 45th floor disappeared and a teleportation light appeared. Everyone's gaze involuntarily fell on the teleportation light. When the light faded, everyone realized that it was Chu Xiangdi. Chu Xiangdi's eyes were filled with excitement. He should have found a suitable manual in the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. Chu Xiangdi walked to Gong Yushu's side. His gaze fell on the 50th floor of the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. He smiled and said, as expected of junior sister Jiang. She can actually reach the 50th floor. The first place in this competition will definitely belong to her. Gong Yushu sighed softly and said, Xiangdi, look at the 80th floor. Jiang Pinghui won't be the first place in this competition. Chu Xiangdi was stunned and subconsciously raised his head to look at the 80th floor. He also saw a flickering light spot there. It was like a star. Someone entered the 80th floor? Who is it? Chu Xiangdi's eyes widened in disbelief. He could not help but exclaim. Gong Yushu shook his head and said, I'm not sure either. We can't think of it. Now we can only wait. When the light spot on the 80th floor appears, we will know the true identity of this person. Suddenly, the entire square was in an uproar. It was very noisy like a roaring wave. That light spot has entered the 81st floor. My God, this is too unbelievable. In the square, it was unknown who said this sentence, but it attracted the attention of countless people. Then the entire square quieted down. When the elders saw this scene, they all sucked in a breath of cold air and became mute in an instant. Yu Jinghuan's body trembled. He stared at the light spot on the 81st floor. He opened his mouth but could not say anything. He was too shocked. He was shocked. Bu Yangrong, who was in the elders group, was extremely pale. He thought to himself, it's over. When the square fell into silence, standing in the center of the Pill Formation Immortal City, in the deepest part of the huge Pill Formation building, a man in a long robe suddenly opened his eyes. In his eyes, there seemed to be an endless sea, mysterious and deep. Someone actually reached the last floor. How did this person do it? I need to go and take a look. Chapter 3499. Pill Array True Record Remnant. At this moment, there was a huge crowd in the square outside the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. However, at that moment, the enormous plaza that was filled with countless people was extremely quiet. In fact, it was so quiet that it was strange. Their actions were in sync as they stared at the light spot on the 81st floor of the Pavilion of Alchemy Array Immortal. They were dumbstruck and did not move an inch. A terrifying piercing sound broke the strange silence in the square. A middle-aged man in a long robe appeared in front of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial as if he had teleported. His appearance was very ordinary, but his eyes were extremely deep, as if they contained a vast sea of stars. The arrival of the middle-aged man immediately attracted everyone's attention. The great elder of the celestial city narrowed his eyes and quickly stepped forward. He bowed respectfully and said, Yu Jinghuan greets the master of the celestial city. After Yu Jinghuan said that, the group of elders behind him stepped forward and bowed as well. Everyone in the square gasped. They did not expect the master of the celestial city, who had been in seclusion, to come out of seclusion. Did he come specifically for the cultivator on the top floor of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial? Duan Chengyao glanced at Yu Jinghuan and pointed at the light spot on the 81st floor. He asked, Great Elder, who is this person? Yu Jinghuan's eyes flickered and he blushed. He said, Master of the Celestial City, actually, I don't know who this person is. He seems to have appeared out of nowhere. You don't know? Duan Qingyao frowned and his magnetic voice was slightly displeased. Yu Jinghuan's face turned even redder. As the great elder of the Celestial City and the host of the grand competition, it was embarrassing that he did not know who the contestant was. Forget it. When this person is teleported out, we will know who he is. Duan Qingyao waved his hand and did not dwell on this matter. He walked to the side of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial and looked at the light spot on the top floor as if he was in deep thought. No one in the group of elders dared to disturb him. Everyone in the square was afraid of Duan Qingyao's power and did not dare to make a noise. The surroundings were even quieter than before. At this moment, the light spot on the 50th floor disappeared and a teleportation light appeared in front of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. The light disappeared and a figure she was Jiang Pinghui. Jiang Pinghui was calm. She knew that she was the grand competition of the Celestial City. Moreover, her harvest this time was quite bountiful. The 3 ancient books she found were of great help to her. She walked to Yu Jinghuan's side and immediately noticed that the atmosphere was a little strange. This was because she realized that her master's expression was rather reserved. Even when he saw her come out, there was only a forced smile on his face. His smile was very forced. Soon after, Jiang Pinghui noticed the figure beside the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion who was looking up at the top of the pavilion. Master? Master of? Master? Jiang Pinghui's pupils shrank in shock. She couldn't help but murmur softly. Didn't they say that the master of the Celestial City was not going to host the grand competition of the Celestial City? Why did he appear now? Duan Chengyao ignored Jiang Pinghui. His gaze was still on the light spot on the 81st floor of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. He was in deep thought. Who was it that had the ability to enter the top floor? He was the only one in the entire Pill Array Celestial City who had the ability to do so. Even great elder Yu Jinghuan did not have the ability. But now, there was one more person. Since this person could participate in the grand competition of the Celestial City, he must be very young. Master, what's going on? Why is the master of the Celestial City here? I'm the last one to come out. The grand competition should have ended. Jiang Pinghui felt that the atmosphere was strange. Logically speaking, since she was the winner of this year's competition, everyone should be cheering and celebrating. The entire square should be in an uproar. But now, the atmosphere was too quiet. After she came out, not many people paid attention to her. Jiang Pinghui was bewildered. Yu Jinghuan saw Jiang Pinghui's strange expression and smiled bitterly. Pinghui, do you think you're first in the grand competition? Jiang Pinghui frowned and said, Am I not? Yu Jinghuan smiled bitterly and pointed at the top floor of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. Look there. Jiang Pinghui looked up. She noticed that there was a light spot on the 81st floor of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. The light spot was shining like a star. Someone reached the top floor? How is this possible? Jiang Pinghui's body froze. Her mouth was slightly open. She did not know what to say. She was in disbelief. The top floor of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial had terrifying restrictions. Only the master of the Celestial City had the ability to enter. Even her master did not have the ability to do so. But among the participants this time, there was such a person. She could not imagine. Jiang Pinghui sighed and said faintly, The Pill Array Celestial City is really full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. I have always thought of myself as the first in the younger generation. Now, it seems like it's really laughable. Master, who is this person? His pillar level is probably higher than yours. Yu Jinghuan was a little embarrassed and smiled. Actually, I'm not sure. We can't confirm the identity of this light spot. We can only recognize him after he is sent out. Jiang Pinghui's beautiful eyes revealed a strange expression. Even her master did not know who this person was. This was too strange. Jiang Pinghui did not ask anymore. She looked at the light spot on the top floor. She was looking forward to the moment when this person was sent out. She did not know who he was. At the stairs of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial, a figure slowly walked up. The restriction on the top floor is really terrifying. I spent a tremendous amount of effort to barely break the restriction and come up here. Zhuan muttered to himself. He stood at the entrance of the stairs and looked at the last floor. He realized that the environment of the last floor was like an ordinary loft. There were wooden pillars and windows around it. There were also desks, chairs, and various other items. It was like a quiet study room. The most eye-catching thing was the sandalwood bookshelf in the corner of the study room. The bookshelf was not big and there was only one level. On the bookshelf, there was a broken ancient book floating. The ancient book was covered in a yellow and white color. It was emitting a faint light. The True Pill Array Records broken book. Zhuowen's eyes lit up when he saw the broken book. He was filled with excitement. He was very familiar with this ancient book. He also had a part of the broken book. The aura of the two was almost the same. What a powerful restriction. Chapter 3500. Breakthrough in Alchemy Dao. He discovered that the restrictions on the True Alchemy Array record were even more powerful than the restrictions on the stairs. Moreover, there wasn't just one type of restriction here. There were many types, and they were almost layered together to form an extremely complicated net of restrictions. Every restriction in this group of restrictions was of a very high level. They were all half a step into the Heaven Breaker tier. The combination of so many half-step Heaven Breaker level restrictions was very terrifying and complicated. Zhuowen felt slightly helpless. He knew that if he wanted to completely break through the restrictions on this place, he would probably need more than a month. However, Zhuowen wasn't discouraged. There was no time limit for this competition, and the teleportation conditions were to obtain 3 books or fail to break the formation. Therefore, he wasn't worried about not having enough time. Zhuowen sat down cross-legged, took out the beast bone formation disc, and began to focus on breaking the formation. He had a feeling that if he succeeded in deciphering this complex restriction group, it would be of great benefit to his Array Dao level, and it would definitely improve rapidly. Time gradually passed, and in the blink of an eye, 1.5 months had passed. During this 1.5 months, Zhuowen had basically been breaking the restrictions on the True Alchemy Array record. Suddenly, Zhuowen's eyes lit up, and excitement appeared on his face. The restriction in front of him began to fluctuate violently, and the layers of restrictions began to ripple violently. Zhuowen knew that the restriction was about to be broken. Finally, a loud cracking sound appeared in front of him. The complex restriction around the True Alchemy Array record began to collapse, and finally completely shattered, revealing the true appearance of the True Alchemy Array record. This remnant scroll looked very damaged, but when Zhuowen touched it, he felt like he was touching a high-quality cloth, and he couldn't bear to part with it. Zhuowen suppressed his excitement and held the remnant scroll in his hand. At the same time, he took out the True Alchemy Array record that he had obtained before. When the True Alchemy Array record and the remnant scroll came close, they emitted a platinum light. Then, the 2 scrolls began to float, and finally came close to each other. The moment they came together, the light was so dazzling that Zhuowen couldn't open his eyes. After a while, the light faded, and a brand new book floated in front of him. It was the complete True Alchemy Array record. Zhuowen received the True Alchemy Array record, and his body trembled with excitement. He had finally obtained the complete True Alchemy Array record. This also meant that he would obtain the complete inheritance of the Alchemy Array Celestial Lord. Why haven't I been teleported out? Zhuowen suddenly thought of something, and his eyes revealed a look of surprise. He had already obtained 3 books, and according to the rules of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion, he should have been teleported out. But now, the teleportation power didn't move at all. Could it be because this is the last level? Zhuowen thought in his heart, but he couldn't hide his excitement. If this was really the reason, then wouldn't he be able to stay here for as long as he wanted? Zhuowen didn't think about anything else, and he began to read the True Alchemy Array record. Gradually, he became engrossed. Zhuowen flipped through the pages of the True Alchemy Array record, and the tadpole-like words reflected in Zhuowen's eyes. Soon, Zhuowen entered a state of enlightenment. Ever since Zhuowen's divine soul merged with the primordial stone, his perception was too terrifying. His cultivation speed was unbelievably fast. Zhuowen first comprehended the alchemy Tao. As he read the True Alchemy Array record, he also combined it with the True Alchemy Array record with the past Immortal City Lords. His alchemy Tao level rose rapidly. 10 days later, Zhuowen's eyes were closed, but he had already taken out the Emperor Pill Furnace and a pile of herbs. Moreover, these herbs were all peak ascending grade divine herbs. If they were placed outside, it would cause countless experts to fight over them. Zhuowen's eyes were still closed. He was still in a state of enlightenment, but he began to refine pills. He wanted to refine a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill. Zhuowen threw precious divine herbs into the Emperor Pill Furnace. He also ignited the divine flame and began to refine pills. Fuck, is this kid crazy? Why did he put so many godly herbs in the Sovereign Pill Furnace? My God, these are all peak ascending heaven's godly herbs. They're priceless. This brat is throwing them out like trash. He's trying to anger me to death. The Pill Sovereign Turtle had already come out of the Emperor Pill Furnace. He gritted his teeth as he watched Zhuowen refine pills. His eyes were filled with hatred. He felt that Zhuowen was wasting God's resources. He threw all kinds of divine herbs into the Emperor Pill Furnace without classifying them. This wasn't refining pills at all. This was more like eating hot pot. Wait, why hasn't the Emperor Pill Furnace exploded yet? It's even releasing such a rich fragrance. I've never heard of this fragrance before. Could this guy really be refining a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill? The Pill Sovereign Turtle was quickly attracted by the fragrance of the divine herbs in the Emperor Pill Furnace. Soon, he came back to his senses and had a guess. This kid is really not an ordinary person. I didn't misjudge him. He's a person who will achieve great things. After he refines a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill, I can only take one as interest. I've lived for so long, but I've never eaten a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill. The Pill Sovereign Turtle rubbed his hands. His saliva was flowing non-stop. It almost gathered into a small stream under his feet. Zhuowen was in an epiphany. Naturally, he didn't know what the Pill Sovereign Turtle was thinking. In this state of enlightenment, Zhuowen's alchemy techniques were almost perfect, without any mistakes. 5 days and 5 nights later, terrifying rays of light erupted from the Emperor Pill Furnace, accompanied by an extremely rich fragrance. Bang! The lid of the furnace flew up, and 20 rays of light erupted from the furnace. If one looked closely, one would see the embryonic forms of babies in the 20 rays of light. They were very spiritual. The divine pills are done. Divine pill babies, wait for me. The Pill Sovereign Turtle's saliva flowed into a straight line. He directly pounced on the nearest divine pill. However, he had just come into contact with this divine pill when a terrifying ray of light erupted from the surface of the divine pill. It directly blasted the Pill Sovereign Turtle away. It hurts. The Pill Sovereign Turtle crashed onto the ground. His head was dizzy, and his limbs were in the air. He couldn't even get up. At this moment, Zhuowen's eyes were still closed. However, his hands reached out. Like lightning, they transformed into afterimages in midair. Those 20 rays of light that flew out were all caught in Zhuowen's palm. Although these rays of light resisted fiercely, Zhuowen's suppression was even more terrifying. They couldn't struggle at all. Zhuowen slowly opened his eyes and put these 20 divine pills into a jade bottle. My alchemy skills have finally caught up with my array skills. I've advanced to the half-step heaven-breaking grade. A hint of a smile appeared at the corners of Zhuowen's mouth. He actually didn't have a half-step heaven-breaking grade pill recipe. Just now, when he refined the half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill, he completely relied on his alchemy intuition. He used the medicinal properties of the divine pills to explore and refine it himself. This divine pill could be said to be self-created by Zhuon. He didn't even know what the effects of this half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill that he occasionally refined were. Chapter 3501. Peak of the First Digilibrat. The divine pill you refined just now, could it be a half-step breaking heaven divine pill? The pill Emperor Turtle hurriedly came over, drooling all over its chin as it asked. Zhuon shrugged and said, "My luck was better just now. I indeed refined a half-step breaking heaven divine pill." "Then haven't you already advanced to a half-step breaking heaven alchemist?" The pill Emperor Turtle asked incredulously. "What do you think?" Zhuon said with a faint smile. As expected of the person that I, Lord Turtle, think highly of, your talent is indeed extraordinary." The pill Emperor Turtle rubbed its hands and continued, "That, brat, don't you think you should take out a divine pill to give to me as interest?" The pill Emperor Turtle's eyes were full of hope, and its drool flowed even more crazily. Zhuon looked at the pill Emperor Turtle somewhat amusedly, took out a divine pill from the jade bottle, and handed it to the pill Emperor Turtle. One had to admit that this divine pill was indeed very extraordinary. The moment Zhuon took out the divine pill, the surface of the divine pill erupted with multicolored light. And Zhuon also noticed that the multicolored light erupting from the surface of the divine pill was actually the embryonic form of an infant, and it was very intelligent. Moreover, after this divine pill was taken out of the jade bottle, it actually planned to escape. If not for Zhuowen's strength being strong enough, this divine pill really might have escaped. The pill Emperor Turtle immediately took the divine pill, and had long been unable to hold back, and swallowed this divine pill into its stomach. Zhuon silently looked at the pill Emperor Turtle, sizing it up very carefully. This half-step breaking heaven divine pill was completely in an epiphany, and it was a new divine pill that was refined according to the combination of various divine medicines' medicinal properties. He did not know the specific medicinal properties. Now that the pill Emperor Turtle had swallowed it, he could carefully observe the specific medicinal properties of this divine pill. The poor pill Emperor Turtle thought that it had taken a great advantage, but it did not know that it had already become Zhuowen's lab rat. Blazing multicolored light surged out of the pill Emperor Turtle's body, as if its entire body had turned into light. Zhuon clearly saw that the pill Emperor Turtle's body was actually expelling many impurities, and the pill Emperor Turtle's body's meridians and physique actually improved greatly. Phew! This divine pill was truly miraculous. It actually gave Lord Tortoise the feeling of being reborn. Even I didn't expect my cultivation to improve so much. The alchemy Emperor Turtle's face was filled with pleasant surprise. It was so comfortable that it kept crying out. The multicolored light that erupted from its body became even more intense, like a small sun. At this moment, the pill Emperor Turtle seemed to have undergone some sort of sublimation. Its aura was also growing stronger. Zhuon was pleasantly surprised. This was a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill that he had accidentally refined, and it actually had such a powerful rebirth effect. Isn't this a little too beneficial for cultivation? This pill will be called the rebirth pill from now on. Zhuon smiled. Although the complete True Pill Array record contained many recipes for half-step heaven-breaking divine pills, the True Pill Array record didn't contain any of them. However, this rebirth pill was created by him after all, and it had an undeniable symbolic meaning. Zhuowen's eyes lit up. He took out a rebirth pill and swallowed it. Instantly, multicolored light erupted from his body, and a strong energy surged between his mouth and nose. This energy was simply too refreshing. It followed his meridians and circulated throughout his body, sweeping away all the impurities and hidden dangers in his body and excreting them. After a while, black impurities appeared on Zhuowen's body. It was very strong, and it even smelled a little fishy. The powerful medicinal power of the rebirth pill was completely integrated into Zhuowen's body, causing Zhuowen's energy level to constantly soar, reaching a very high level. Zhuowen immediately activated the primordial chant. Purple light surrounded his body, and his figure flickered. He quickly refined the surging medicinal power in his body and converted it into broken divine power. Boom! Suddenly, a rumbling sound came from Zhuowen's body. His aura soared to a certain extent, and with the help of the rapid medicinal power, he directly broke through from the middle stage of the first heaven's decay to the late stage of the first heaven's decay. Zhuowen was still circulating the primordial chant, and he didn't have any intention of stopping. He took out another divine pill and swallowed it without any hesitation. He began to madly absorb the medicinal power to cultivate. This was a rare opportunity. He planned to use the rebirth pill to increase the cultivation level of his human body again. After all, with his comprehension ability, there weren't many bottlenecks before he broke through the heavens. Previously, he had slowed down his cultivation mainly to give himself enough time to consolidate his cultivation base. Now that he had gained some enlightenment again, he naturally planned to break through again. Zhuowen's body was shrouded in purple light, and his aura rapidly soared. Zhuowen discovered that after swallowing the first divine pill, the effects of the second one weren't as good as the first one. He didn't hesitate to take out 3 more divine pills. He activated the primordial chant to quickly absorb the medicinal power of the divine pills and replenish the energy in his body. The rate at which his aura soared instantly increased. Looks like it's still not enough. Zhuowen's brows furrowed slightly. He discovered that 5 divine pills were still not enough to break through to the peak of the first heaven's decay. Helplessly, he poured out 4 more divine pills from the jade bottle and swallowed them at the same time. His body erupted with a bright light that was too dazzling to look at. Several hours later, the light around Zhuowen's body gradually dimmed, but his aura had reached the peak. Then, there was a loud explosion in his body. He finally succeeded in breaking through to the peak of the first heaven's decay. Zhuowen's aura was very terrifying. His long hair fluttered, and he was like a demon god that had descended to the world. Phew! I've successfully broken through. The corners of Zhuowen's mouth curled up in excitement. He originally wanted to continue breaking through and directly break through to the second heaven's decay in one go. However, he discovered that the effect of the rebirth pill on him had become negligible. He knew that his body had already developed a resistance to the rebirth pill. Even if he swallowed all the remaining rebirth pills, he wouldn't be able to break through again. Unless he had other half-step heaven-breaking divine pills or higher-grade divine pills, he wouldn't be able to break through again. Zhuowen took out the pill formula for the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill and hesitated. He was hesitating whether he should refine the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill now. After leaving here, I'll find a quiet place to refine the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill. Zhuowen finally put away the pill formula. He didn't plan to refine the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill here. He knew that with his current level of alchemy, it was too easy to refine the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill. The reason why he hesitated was mainly because he wasn't prepared enough to face Moyan Wushang, who was about to wake up. There was no doubt that Moyan Wushang had sacrificed too much for Zhuowen during his time on the heavenly armor planet. Later, because of Zhuowen, he had become like this. Later, when Zhuowen found Mu Chenxue was also moved. She had already said that Moyan Wushang's feelings for Zhuowen were too deep. In addition, Moyan Wushang was originally a good sister of Mu Chenxue. Therefore, Mu Chenxue had agreed to let Zhuowen accept Moyan Wushang. Zhuowen sighed softly. Moyan Wushang was about to wake up, but he didn't know the whereabouts of Mu Chenxue. He made up his mind. Once the matter of the alchemy array Dao domain was settled, he would go to the old site of the heavenly armor planet in the monster territory. Chapter 3502. This him. Zhuowen walked down from the 81st floor to the 80th floor. Soon after, he felt a teleportation energy wrap around his body. His guess was right. The teleportation energy of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion was completely ineffective on the 81st floor. The moment he left the 81st floor, he was immediately affected by the teleportation energy. Zhuowen did not resist the teleportation energy. He was enveloped by the teleportation light and disappeared from the spot. At this moment, the plaza outside the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion was still terrifyingly quiet. Everyone stared unblinkingly at the light spot on the top floor. Soon, they noticed that the light spot went down from the 81st floor to the 80th floor. Soon after, the light spot disappeared. Look, that light spot disappeared. This person is going to leave the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion. It's true. I really don't know who this person is. He's actually so awesome to reach the top floor of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion. The originally quiet square began to stir at this moment, becoming noisy and boisterous. Everyone became excited. They all wanted to see the true identity of that strange light spot. Standing below the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion, the Immortal City Lord Duan Qingyao squinted his eyes as he looked at the light spot that disappeared. He seemed to be very concerned. His expression revealed a strange expression. Like everyone else, he was also very curious about the identity of that light spot. Moreover, his expression did not look too good. This was because he had just discovered that the restrictions on the surface of the true Pill Array record that he had personally set up had been broken. This also meant that the true Pill Array record had been taken away by this person. However, Duan Qingyao quickly regained his calm. An indescribable smile appeared on his face. He was very confident. In his opinion, the true Pill Array record belonged to the Immortal City Lord of the Pill Array Immortal City. This person was able to enter the 81st floor and break the restrictions on the surface of the true Pill Array record. He was a rare talent. He was willing to let this person study the true Pill Array record for a period of time. Of course, this person had to join the Pill Array Immortal City and take him as the City Lord. He had to serve the Pill Array Immortal City in the future. Of course, if this person dared to disobey, Duan Qingyao would not mind making this person suffer. Duan Qingyao's Pill Array skills were very powerful. He had already reached the half-step heaven-crushing realm. His strength was also not weak. Moreover, he was also at the peak of the third blight. His strength was unparalleled. In Duan Qingyao's opinion, he was probably the only person in the entire starry sky of the lower realms who could reach the level of half-step heaven-breaker in alchemy while also possessing such heaven-defying cultivation. It was already not easy for the cultivator represented by this dot of light to have such a high level of alchemy skills and to not be more than 10,000 years old. He did not think that this person's cultivation would be that strong. And in Duan Qingyao's opinion, this kind of Pill Array genius was the easiest to control. Duan Qingyao was very confident that he could firmly grasp this genius in his hands and use him in the future. And immortal monarchs. Immortal City's great elder Yu Jinghuan's eyes shone brightly. She raised her spirits and paid close attention. Jiang Pinghui, who was standing beside Yu Jinghuan, was also in high spirits. She was curious. What kind of person could reach the peak of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion? Under the gazes of countless people, the teleportation light finally appeared in the square. It was like a white pillar of light. It was extremely dazzling. Everyone's eyes widened the moment they saw the teleportation light. Their eyes were filled with eagerness and anticipation. However, two of them had bitter expressions on their faces. These two were naturally Bu Yangrong and Zhu Wenlin. A bitter smile hung on the corners of their mouths. They knew that Zhuwen might have already obtained the remnant true Pill Array record. They knew that Zhuwen had come here for the sake of obtaining the remnant Pill Formation true record. Thus, he was determined to retrieve it. Moreover, they also knew that the Immortal City Lord, Duan Qingyao, would definitely not allow Zhuwen to take away the Pill Array true record. Although they had seen Zhuwen's strength, they did not have any confidence in Zhuwen. In their hearts, Duan Qingyao, the City Lord of the Immortal City, was already a deified figure. In the entire Pill Array Immortal City, Duan Qingyao was like a god. Almost no one dared to go against Duan Qingyao, let alone go against his decision. When the time came, Zhuwen would definitely have a conflict with Duan Qingyao because of the true Pill Array record. When that time came, a huge battle would be unavoidable. If Zhuwen was lucky enough to escape, the two of them might still be able to survive. However, if Zhuwen was caught and found out that the two of them were protecting Zhuwen, the two of them would definitely die. However, they knew that the chances of Zhuan escaping were close to zero. After all, this was the Pil Array Immortal City. It was completely under Duan Qingyao's control. Moreover, in this immortal city, there were even 6 formidable half-step heaven-shattering realm experts. Even if the Zhuan had 3 heads and 6 arms, it was of no use. Sigh. How did things develop to this point? Bu Yangrong was deeply worried as he let out a sigh. The teleportation light finally faded, revealing Zhuan's figure. As soon as Zhuan appeared on the square, he felt countless gazes on him. His gaze was calm. When he ascended to the top floor of the Pil Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion, he knew that he would cause a huge commotion in the square. It's him? Chu Xiangdi, who was standing beside Gong Yushu, couldn't help but exclaim. He had some impression of Zhuan. Wasn't this guy Zhu Wenlin's junior brother, Zhuan? Originally, he had completely ignored this person and didn't put him in his eyes. This was because he didn't even put Zhu Wenlin in his eyes, and this person was only Zhu Wenlin's junior brother. How could he put him in his eyes? However, now, Zhuan's appearance was a ruthless slap to his face. He had suffered an extreme blow. Jiang Pinghui's beautiful eyes were also dazed. She also had some impression of Zhuan, but it wasn't deep. She only knew that this person was Zhu Wenlin's junior brother. She didn't expect that this mysterious genius was actually that unremarkable youth from before. This was too unexpected. Xiangdi, you know this person? Gong Yushu couldn't help but ask when he saw Chu Xiangdi's strange state. When Gong Yushu said this, the elders' gazes all turned to Chu Xiangdi. Even the Immortal City's Grand Elder Yu Jinghuan looked at Chu Xiangdi curiously. Their elders group knew nothing about this youth. They had never seen him before. Now that Chu Xiangdi seemed to know him, they were all very curious. Chu Xiangdi also realized that he had lost his composure. He calmed down and said with a complicated gaze, I've met this person once before. I remember that he's called Zhuan. I think he's Elder Bu Yangrong's new disciple and also Zhu Wenlin's junior brother. What? Bu Yangrong's disciple? The elders group was in an uproar. They all looked at Bu Yangrong at the same time. Chapter 3503. Flatly rejected. Yu Jinghuan looked at Bu Yangrong and asked in surprise, Yangrong, is this person really your new disciple? Yu Jinghuan's voice was filled with doubt. Bu Yangrong's alchemy skills were only at the peak of the creation grade, but Yun was a half-step heaven-breaker grade alchemy grandmaster. With Zhuowen's skills, he should be Bu Yangrong's master, not his disciple. It wasn't just Yu Jinghuan. The surrounding elders all had doubtful looks in their eyes. Bu Yangrong's scalp went numb, and his heart was filled with bitterness. He could only brace himself and say, this one is indeed my new disciple. The alchemy skills he displayed were only at the Genesis grade. I didn't expect him to hide his skills so well. Bu Yangrong sighed in his heart. He could only use such a far-fetched reason to absolve himself. Oh, in other words, this Zhuan deliberately concealed his alchemy skills to become your disciple? The city lord, Duan Qingyao, narrowed his eyes as he thought of something. He looked at the figure in front of the Pil Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion with an ugly expression. He suspected that this Zhuan had snuck in for the true Pil Array record. But soon, Duan Qingyao calmed down. So what if this Zhuowen's goal was the true Pil Array record? So what if he got it? He knew that even if this Zhuowen got the true Pil Array record, he wouldn't be able to leave the Pil Array Celestial City. This was because the entire Pil Array Celestial City was under his control, and no one dared to disobey him. In Duan Qingyao's heart, this Zhuan was already a turtle in a jar. He couldn't escape even if he had wings, and he could only let him do whatever he wanted. Jiang Pinghui's beautiful eyes were complicated. She was very intelligent, and she remembered that when she exchanged the soul mystic technique, it was Zhuowen who took it out. Previously, she really thought that the soul mystic technique belonged to Zhuowen, and it was temporarily in Zhu Wenlin's hands. Now that she thought about it, she realized that it was impossible for Zhu Wenlin to have something as important as a soul arcane art. After all, Zhu Wenlin's cultivation wasn't high and his alchemy skills were also ordinary. How could he possibly have such a lucky chance? In that case, The one who possessed the divine soul secret technique was definitely Zhuo Wen, who had concealed himself deeply. This person is really watertight. Even I was deceived by him. Jiang Pinghui murmured in a low voice. She looked at Zhuo with a strange gaze. In the Pill Array Immortal City, Jiang Pinghui was the genius with the highest pill array level amongst the younger generation. She also had a perfect appearance and a hot figure. She could be said to be the goddess in the hearts of countless young men in the Pill Array Immortal City. She had countless pursuers. However, Jiang Pinghui was very arrogant and rejected batch after batch of suitors. Her ability was too strong, and she had high expectations for her other half. At the very least, the other half had to surpass her in terms of alchemy. Moreover, the other half had to be an extremely capable monstrous genius. Within the Pill Array Immortal City, only one person agreed with Jiang Pinghui's other half. That was the city lord, Duan Qingyao. However, Jiang Pinghui knew that Duan Qingyao was high and mighty, and it was difficult to get close to him. Although she admired Duan Qingyao, she also knew that it was impossible for her and Duan Qingyao to be together. The difference in status between the two was too big, and the difference in age was also very big. But now, a young man of similar age with an outstanding pill array level had suddenly appeared. Jiang Pinghui's heart felt strange, and the way she looked at Zhuan also changed. At this moment, Zhuan was like a javelin, standing in the same place. He quickly noticed that the leader of the elders was a middle-aged man wearing a long robe. His gaze became serious. He felt that this middle-aged man gave him a sense of danger. Moreover, the leader of the elders, the Grand Elder of the Immortal City, Yu Jinghuan, was standing behind the middle-aged man respectfully. Zhuan was surprised. He guessed the identity of this person. He should be the city lord of the Pill Array Immortal City, Duan Qingyao. In the Pill Array Immortal City, only the city lord's position was higher than the elders. Zhuan did not expect that even the city lord would come this time. This was an unprecedented grand occasion. At this moment, Duan Qingyao had a faint smile on his face as he walked toward Zhuan. Yu Jinghuan led the elders group and followed closely behind Duan Qingyao. As for Bu Yangrong, his face was not right, and it was pale without blood. At this moment, to him, it was too torturous. He even sent a voice transmission to Zhuan, telling him that if Duan Qingyao asked for the remnant true pill array record, he better hand it over. Otherwise, he would not have a good ending. Unfortunately, Bu Yangrong did not receive a reply. This made Bu Yangrong even more nervous. Duan Qingyao came in front of Zhuan and sized him up. He was surprised to find that Zhuan's gaze was calm, and he was not nervous at all. "Do you know who I am?" Duan Qingyao smiled. "I know." Zhuan nodded. "Oh, you know and you're still so calm?" Duan Qingyao asked curiously. "City Lord Duan, you can enter the top floor of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion, and I, the Tuan, can do the same. When I see you, do I have to feel fear and trepidation?" Zhuan replied calmly. Once those words were spoken, the group of elders looked at each other. They all felt that this Zhuan was truly too arrogant. What he meant was that he and Duan Qingyao should be treated as equals, as if they were on equal footing. You're Zhuan, right? You're the first person to say such words in front of me. I admire you very much. Join my Pill Array Immortal City and serve me. Then you'll be the new leader of the Elders Group and the new Grand Elder of the Pill Array Immortal City. Moreover, I can lend you the remnant true Pill Array record to study for 100 days. This is the most lenient treatment I can give you. Duan Qingyao said calmly. Yu Jinghuan, who was standing behind Duan Qingyao, had a huge change in expression. However, he did not dare to say anything. Although he was the most powerful person in the Pill Array Immortal City, he was only second to the Immortal City Lord. However, his power was only for others. In front of the Immortal City Lord Duan Qingyao, he was like a paper tiger. Duan Qingyao could take away his power and life with a single sentence. Without a doubt, Duan Qingyao was the true master of the Pill Array Immortal City. Whoever disobeyed him would suffer. In the elders group, Bu Yangrong's eyes lit up. He knew that Duan Qingyao had taken a liking to Zhuan's Pill Array standards. As long as Zhuan agreed, then everything would be fine. Moreover, he would become the Grand Elder of the Pill Array Immortal City. This was simply a pie falling from the sky. However, Yun shook his head and said calmly, City Lord Duan, I'm afraid I can't accept this suggestion of yours. I'm already used to living a carefree life. I don't intend to receive any restrictions. Therefore, you should look for someone else. The moment these words were spoken, the surroundings went silent. No one had expected that Zhuowen would actually reject Duan Qingyao's generous offer. That was too gutsy of him. Bu Yangrong and Zhuowen's faces were pale and their bodies were weak. They knew that they were finished. Not only was Zhuowen finished, they were also finished. After all, their fates were tied together with he. Chapter 3504. Turn hostile. Do you still have a choice today? Duan Qingyao's gaze became gloomy. At the same time, 5 figures rushed over from the periphery of the square, erupting with 5 extremely terrifying auras. The terrifying auras filled the entire square, causing all the cultivators in the square to tremble. Some weaker cultivators directly knelt on the ground, unable to get up. That's a half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouse. Heavens! City Lord Duan actually summoned all the half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses in the Celestial City. Is he trying to show off his power to this kid? This person is also sick in the head. City Lord Duan kindly invited him to be the first elder of the Celestial City, which can be considered a great gift, but he actually didn't appreciate it. I think he regrets it now. The square was bustling with noise and excitement. They were all shocked by Duan Qingyao's actions. They didn't expect Duan Qingyao to actually summon all the half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses in the Celestial City. The 5 half-step heaven-breaking realm cultivators quickly landed in front of the Pill Formation Celestial Monarch Pavilion. They landed around Zhuowen, forming a circle and surrounding Zhuowen. Moreover, the 5 of them didn't hesitate to erupt with the strongest pressure in their bodies, wanting to intimidate Zhuowen and make him terrified. Zhuowen was very calm as he looked around at the 5 cultivators surrounding him. Among these 5 cultivators, the most eye-catching one should be an old man with a head full of white hair. This old man's cultivation was the highest among the 5, and he had already reached the early stage of the 3rd blight. As for the other 4, 2 were at the 2nd blight, and the other 2 were at the 1st blight. The elders had long retreated from the battle and stood far away, looking over. Duan Qingyao stood not far away from the encirclement. His gaze was cold as he said indifferently, This Lord gave you a chance. But you didn't cherish it. I don't like to use force, but you forced me to use force. At this point, Duan Qingyao shook his head and continued, How about this? You still swear to serve me and give me your soul imprint, and I'll spare your life. This is the last chance I'm giving you. You have to seize it. Zhuowen furrowed his brows. Cheng Yao's attitude had changed so quickly. Just now, he even gave him the true pill formation record to study for 100 days and even gave him the position of Grand Elder of the Immortal City. But now, in the blink of an eye, Duan Qingyao actually wanted him to hand over his soul imprint, make him Duan Qingyao's slave, and threaten him with his life. It seemed that Duan Qingyao had long planned to do this and was just looking for a way out. Master! City Lord Duan, this is... Jiang Pinghui's pretty face turned pale when she saw this scene, and she could not help but speak softly. Yu Jinghuan said softly, Pinghui, you don't have to worry about this matter. Zhuowen had thoroughly offended City Lord Duan today. If he knew what was good for him, he could only become City Lord Duan's servant. I'll serve City Lord Duan for the rest of my life. Jiang Pinghui was silent. She looked at Zhuowen's back, her eyes filled with regret. She knew that this young talent with a bright future would lose his freedom in the future and become Duan Qingyao's slave, unable to escape for the rest of his life. In the square, everyone shook their heads. They could all imagine Zhuowen's miserable fate. What are you still hesitating for? Hand over your soul imprint and you can live. Duan Qingyao saw that Zhuowen did not agree, so he lost his patience and his voice became much louder. Zhuowen's eyes were calm as he said, What if I say no? Duan Qingyao was startled. He did not expect that Zhuowen would still be so stubborn at this point. This guy did not want to live anymore, right? Duan Qinyao waved his hand and said coldly, "Teach him a lesson, but don't kill him." The 5 cultivators surrounding Zhuowen all nodded. Among them, a dark-skinned man laughed and said, "Brothers, this guy's arms and legs are thin, so there's no need for you to do anything. I'll deal with him." The dark-skinned man was the weakest among the 5, around the middle stage of the first blight. The dark-skinned man's words naturally received the approval of the other 4. They looked at Zhuowen with disdain. Although this child's alchemy skills were very high, his cultivation aura was very weak. For the 5 of them to be arranged to deal with him was simply a waste of talent. However, they also knew that the city lord Duan Qingyao wanted to establish his might in front of everyone, so they could only cooperate. Boy, you really don't want to do things the hard way. Today, I'll let you know why flowers are so red. Don't worry, I won't kill you. At most, I'll beat you half to death." The dark-skinned man slowly walked over, his eyes full of contempt. He threw a punch at Zhuowen's nose. The dark-skinned man looked down on Zhuowen, so his punch was very casual and slow. But even so, he was still wrapped in the power of the first blight. It was enough to kill a peak powerhouse from Skyrend. Zhuowen sneered in his heart. This dark-skinned man was too arrogant. He actually threw a punch so casually. He was really courting death. When the dark-skinned man's fist was inches away, Zhuowen's right hand seemed to have teleported and appeared above the dark-skinned man's fist. His palm contained a mysterious purple light and he easily caught the dark-skinned man's huge fist. You actually caught it. It seems that you really hid your strength well." The dark-skinned man revealed a look of surprise, but soon, a sinister smile appeared on his face. His body erupted with terrifying energy and crackling sounds rang out. Boom! The dark-skinned man's fist erupted to an extremely terrifying degree in a short period of time. He wanted to directly penetrate Zhuowen's right hand. Unfortunately, he soon discovered that this move was not enough. The purple light in Zhuowen's palm became even more intense, like a purple sun. Then, the dark-skinned man felt an astonishing pain from his right fist. His right fist had been crushed by Zhuowen's palm and blood splattered everywhere. Puchi! The moment Zhuowen crushed the dark-skinned man's fist, his right hand clenched into a fist and directly punched out, slamming into the dark-skinned man's right hand. Suddenly, purple light erupted from the fist and turned the dark-skinned man's right hand into a bloody mist. The dark-skinned man was in a very sorry state. He constantly retreated and blood splattered everywhere. It looked like a sprinkler that had leaked and spilled all over the ground. "Brother Qin, are you okay?" Another middle-aged man quickly came behind the dark-skinned man and caught him. Only then did he stabilize the dark-skinned man. Among the 5 people, this middle-aged man's cultivation was only higher than the dark-skinned man's. His cultivation was at the late stage of the first blight and could only be ranked second to last among the 5 people. He had the best relationship with the dark-skinned man. At this moment, when he saw the dark-skinned man being beaten to such a state by Zhuowen, his eyes were filled with shock and anger. No, at this moment, the dark-skinned man's eyes were filled with horror and his face was unbelievably pale. In his body, there was a terrifying energy that was constantly raging, destroying his internal organs. That was the shattered divine power that was surging and exploding in the dark-skinned man's body. In the end, the dark-skinned man screamed and his entire body exploded into a bloody mist. Chapter 3505. Battle. The middle-aged man was too miserable. He was splashed with blood, and his sternum was heavily hit by a powerful explosion, causing it to cave in. Puchi! The middle-aged man spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face was unbelievably pale. He crashed heavily onto the ground, his body trembling, and his aura was weak. What happened? The 3 cultivators who were standing on the other side were shocked when they saw the dark-skinned man explode and the middle-aged man get caught in the explosion. The city lord, Duan Qinyao, who originally wanted to watch a good show, stiffened at this moment. He never thought that an accident would happen. "You're a half-step heaven-breaking cultivator?" Duan Qinyao stared fixedly at Zhuowen and asked word by word, but his heart was filled with waves. This Zhuowen was so young, and it was already a miracle that his alchemy skills had reached the half-step heaven-breaking level. However, this guy's cultivation had also reached the half-step heaven-breaking level. Was this defying the heavens? In the square, everyone was also stunned, and they also felt that it was inconceivable. Bu Yangrong, who was in the group of elders, felt even more bitter. He knew that Jun had killed a tanned man and was already irreconcilable with Pil Array Immortal City. Duan Qingyao would not let him go. Moreover, his and Zhu Wenlin's fate would also be very miserable. Zhu Wen's gaze was cold. He looked at Duan Qingyao and said indifferently, City Lord Duan Yun, have no intention of becoming enemies with your Pil Array Immortal City. Now that I've already gotten what I need, if you let me go, then I won't find trouble with your Pil Array Immortal City, and we can even become friends in the future. Duan Qingyao's gaze was gloomy, and he said eerily, You make it sound so easy. You killed a half-step heaven-breaking cultivator of my Pil Array Immortal City, and you even took the remnant of the true Pil Array record, and you want to leave just like that? You're really delusional. Then what you mean is that you still want me to stay. Could it be that you're not afraid that I'll kill all the remaining half-step heaven-breaking realm experts in your Pil Array Immortal City? At that time, it'll be too late for you to regret. Zhuowen said indifferently. But Duan Qingyao sneered repeatedly and said, You're really confident to actually have delusions of wanting to kill other half-step shattering heaven realm powerhouses. If it wasn't for Chen Sitten's carelessness, would you have found the opportunity to kill him? You don't have the chance now. As Duan Qingyao spoke, he waved his right sleeve. Immediately, a series of array discs flew out. They turned into a long dragon and formed a powerful boundary around Tun. The surface of the realm was glowing with a translucent light. It was quite extraordinary, and it was actually a half-step heaven-breaching spell formation. Duan Qingyao walked to the edge of the domain with his hands behind his back. He said to the white-haired old man and the other two, What are you waiting for? Take him down. Originally, the white-haired old man was still in a daze because the swarthy man was destroyed and had yet to react. Now, Duan Qingyao's shout immediately woke them up, and they immediately shot out explosively, splitting into 3 directions and launching their strongest attacks at Zhuan. At the same time, Duan Qingyao already dragged out the heavily injured middle-aged man and instructed the first elder of Immortal City, Yu Jinghuan, to arrange for this middle-aged man to be treated. Yu Jinghuan was naturally respectful and reverent, bringing the middle-aged man down. And Jiang Pinghui, who followed beside Yu Jinghuan, looked at the figure facing the 3 great half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses within the realm, and sighed lightly in her heart. She knew that this Yun couldn't escape today even if he grew wings, and was dead for sure. Fuck. This brother is actually so fierce. If I knew earlier, I wouldn't have looked down on him. Who knows if he'll bear a grudge in his heart. Chu Xiangdi was somewhat guilty. Previously, when he encountered Zhu Wenlin and Zhuan, he spoke bluntly to that Zhuan. Now that he thought about it, he felt guilty. However, this boy is going to be a dead man soon, and he won't have the chance to find trouble with me. Chu Xiangdi glanced at that powerful realm, and then looked at the 3 half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses that were jointly attacking Zhuowen, and he was very relieved. Of these 3 half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses, the weakest was a second blight powerhouse, and the strongest, that white-haired old man, was an early-stage third blight powerhouse, much stronger than that tanned large man and middle-aged man. With the 3 of them working together, no matter how heaven-defying Zhuowen's methods were, he would still have to nurse a grievance. Bu Yangrong and Zhu Wenlin were both frightened, and their faces were pale without any color. Especially Bu Yangrong, his whole body was trembling uncontrollably because he noticed Duan Qingyao's gaze faintly looking in his direction. That gaze was very cold, and this made him feel even more guilty. Zhuan stood in place. He didn't summon his doppelganger, and instead used his human main body to resist these 3 half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses. His human main body's cultivation had already reached the peak of the first blight, and his strength had increased explosively. Added with his shattered divine power, it was enough to defeat the majority of second blight powerhouses. The white-haired old man's speed was extremely fast, and he took the lead, arriving in front of Zhuan in an instant. Thief, you're very bold, actually daring to kill people in Pil Array Immortal City, You're practically seeking death." The white-haired old man's voice was cold. He wore metal gloves on his hands, and these gloves were very extraordinary. They looked a little damaged, but they had an ancient and vicissitude aura, and they also erupted with an extremely terrifying aura. This definitely wasn't an ordinary half-step heaven-breaking realm god tool. Boom! The white-haired old man threw a punch, and it actually exploded with countless beastly roars, as if there was an endless amount of terrifying primordial beasts in this punch. Moreover, these beastly roars were very terrifying, loud and resounding. Many cultivators in the square were affected by these beastly roars, and their entire bodies seemed to have become sluggish, and they stopped in place. Some were even bleeding from their 7 orifices, and their hands covered their ears. Zhuowen's eyes narrowed, and he stomped his right foot, and his entire body turned into a purple shadow. The white-haired old man's punch landed on the purple shadow, and only then did he realize that what he hit was only an afterimage. Zhuowen's body shot out like lightning, and he swept towards a cultivator on the right. This was a rather young man with a white face and no beard, but he had a head of white hair. Especially his white eyebrows, they drooped down on both sides of his face, making him look very comical. This white-haired young man's cultivation wasn't bad, and he had already reached the early stage of the second blight. You dare to attack me, you're very bold." The white-haired young man revealed a sinister smile, and his aura became even stronger. Zhuon shrugged and said, "Because you're the weakest of the 3, of course I'll start with you." The white-haired young man was furious, and his aura exploded. This kid's mouth was really unforgiving, and the words that came out of his mouth made him gnash his teeth in hatred. He really wanted to slap this kid to death. Boom! The white-haired young man's natal divine weapon was a silver longsword. When the sword was swung, the sword chi spread across hundreds of millions of miles, as if it could tear the entire sky apart. Countless sword chi burst out and attacked Zhuon like rain, instantly enveloping Zhuon from all directions. Zhuon took a deep breath, and all the apertures on his body opened up, and streams of purple chi burst out. Instantly, the purple chi attached to the surface of his body, forming a mysterious and brilliant purple battle suit. This cultivator was a middle-aged man with large nostrils. He was burly and looked like an ancient beast. His cultivation was a bit stronger than the white-haired youth's second blight. When the middle-aged man saw Zhuowen pounce at him, his heart trembled. He didn't even fight and immediately chose to retreat. Furthermore, he retreated very quickly. The scene of the white-clothed youth being easily killed was still vivid in his mind. Although he was a bit stronger than the white-haired youth, there was a limit to it. If Zhuon could instantly kill the white-haired youth, he could naturally instantly kill him. He didn't dare to fight Zhuon head-on. Unfortunately, the ideal was full, but the reality was very harsh. So what if the middle-aged man retreated quickly? His speed was far from being Zhuowen's match. Not long after, Zhuowen caught up to him and threw a punch at the middle-aged man's forehead, intending to destroy him with a single punch. The middle-aged man began to panic. His hands blocked in front of him, and he was directly turned into a bloody mist by Zhuowen's punch. The broken divine power mercilessly invaded the middle-aged man's body, causing him to scream. His heart was filled with terror and he completely lost his will to fight. What happened next was too simple. The middle-aged man lost his will to fight and couldn't use his strength at all. Zhuon easily killed the middle-aged man with a few punches. When the middle-aged man exploded into a bloody mist and Zhuon was bathed in a rain of blood, the square became completely silent. 5 half-step heaven-shattering cultivators surrounded Zhuowen, and 3 of them were killed on the spot, while the other was already heavily injured. Now, only a white-haired old man remained. At this moment, Duan Qingyao, who was standing outside the realm, couldn't sit still. Their Pill Array immortal city only had 6 half-step heaven-breaking cultivators. Now, 3 of them had died. They lost half. This loss was too serious. Duan Qingyao also didn't expect things to develop to this point. He thought that the white-haired elder and the other 2 could easily take down Zhuon, but he didn't expect that not only did they fail, but they also lost 2 second blight cultivators. This was truly a double whammy. Elder Hong, what are you still doing? Quickly kill this child for me. Duan Chengyao was filled with anger, and his tone became very cold. At the same time, Duan Chengyao took out formation flags and began to set up a half-step heaven-breaking killing formation in the realm. He wanted to directly annihilate Zhuan to vent the hatred in his heart. He didn't even consider capturing Zhuan alive and making him his servant. He had already lost his mind and only wanted to kill Zhuan. The white-haired elder was also filled with anger. He roared again and again, and the killing intent in his eyes seemed to materialize. The aura of an early-stage third blight cultivator was completely revealed. It was very extraordinary and terrifying. Zhuan stood in place. He noticed the terrifying killing intent coming from the realm and knew that Duan Chengyao was going to set up a killing formation. If he continued to drag this out, it would only be very disadvantageous for him. He had to end this quickly. Old fart, I'm not playing with you anymore. I'll directly kill you. After saying this, Zhuo immediately summoned his doppelganger from the great world. A black-clothed clone stepped out from the void behind him and suddenly entered the main body's body. The two merged into one. Boom. Instantly, Zhuowen's aura skyrocketed to a terrifying level. A terrifying storm vortex appeared in the air around him as if it could tear everything apart. At this moment, the white-haired elder had already arrived not far from Zhuan. His fists surged with terrifying killing energy as if they could kill all living beings. You're dead, little bastard. The killing intent in the white-haired elder's eyes was very terrifying. It was as if it had materialized. He had already punched towards Zhuowen's forehead. Zhuowen took a deep breath and also punched out. Purple light lingered around his fist, but his body was sparkling and translucent. When his human main body and clone merged together, his strength increased by hundreds or thousands of times. It was simply too terrifying. The two fists collided. The white-haired elder's gloves were torn apart, and his right fist and right hand directly exploded into a cloud of blood mist. Puchi! The white-haired elder spat out a mouthful of blood in disbelief. His eyes widened as he stared at Zhuan in front of him. He couldn't believe it. He felt that it was inconceivable. How did Zhuowen's strength suddenly increase so much? Zhuowen had fallen into a disadvantageous position when they were exchanging blows earlier. But now, he had actually shattered his right hand with a single punch, tearing it into a bloody mist. This was truly a little too frightening and shocking. Chapter 3507. Duan Xiao attacked. The white-haired old man screamed miserably. His face directly shattered, and his head exploded, turning into a bloody mist. He became a headless corpse. However, the old man was a third blight cultivator. Although he was only at the early stage, his source energy was extremely strong and he wouldn't die so easily. The headless corpse of the white-haired old man floated into the air, and a new head began to grow in the headless place. The white-haired old man's recovered head had an expression of extreme pain. He quickly retreated and looked at Zhuowen with a terrified gaze. He felt that this was unbelievable. He was an early-stage third blight cultivator, but he was heavily injured by this person in one move. Just how terrifying was this person? Furthermore, the white-haired old man was also puzzled by the fact that when he had exchanged a punch with Zhuowen earlier, he had still been fiercely suppressing his opponent. But now, it was like Zhuowen had taken an aphrodisiac. His strength suddenly erupted and he was heavily injured. He really couldn't understand. "Old man, you barked so happily just now. Now, call me again." Before the gray-haired old man could react, Zhuowen flashed before the gray-haired old man like a bolt of lightning, and a punch blasted out. It gave rise to countless terrifying gales that were like countless blades, and it was extremely terrifying. The old man screamed in horror and quickly retreated, but unfortunately, how could his speed compare to Zhuowen's? Zhuowen caught up with the white-haired old man in an instant and unceremoniously punched him in the face, shattering his skull once again. After that, Zhuowen struck out a few times successively, and he directly blasted the old man apart and obliterated him into nothingness. This continued until the old man's soul and body were completely obliterated to the point of being unable to recover. Zhuan, This old man won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Before the old man died, he let out a miserable scream and cursed Yun. In the end, he couldn't be more dead. At this moment, outside the domain, Duan Qingyao, who was about to finish setting up the killing formation and was only one step away from completing it, was so angry that his eyes turned red and he spat out a mouthful of blood when he saw the white-haired old man completely killed. The killing formation, which was about to be completed, suddenly collapsed, and everything was for naught. Jun, you dare to kill my Pillaray Immortal City's people? You have guts. Duan Qingyao almost lost his mind. Their Pillaray Immortal City had a total of 6 half-step heaven-breaking realm experts. Now, 4 of them were completely killed and 1 was half-crippled. Now, he was the only Pillaray Immortal City Lord left. This loss was too great. It was a huge blow to the Dan Array Immortal City. It would affect the foundation of the Dan Array Immortal City. Duan Qingyao was filled with hatred. He had underestimated Zhuowen's strength and killed the old man. At the same time, Duan Qingyao felt regret. He regretted that he was too impulsive. Facing Zhuowen, he directly used a forceful method to forcefully subdue him. If he knew that this one was so strong, he wouldn't have used such a forceful method. Instead, he would have used a soft strategy to subdue Zhuowen. But now, everything was too late. The mistake had already been made, and it was very deep. Zhuowen looked at Duan Qingyao with a strange gaze as if looking at an idiot. City Lord Duan, you directly ordered your subordinates to take my life. I was only acting in self-defense and accidentally killed them. Can you blame me for this? Shouldn't it be your own fault? Zhuowen said with a cold smile. Everyone in the square was dumbfounded. They didn't expect that the final result would be like this. That was 5 half-step heaven-breaking realm experts working together. In the end, they didn't take down this Zhuowen. Instead, they were easily slaughtered by this Zhuowen. Fuck, isn't this Zhuowen too awesome? He's actually so powerful. In the elder group, Bu Yangrong's gaze shook. He also felt that it was inconceivable, but it was more of a trace of joy. He was very clear that in this struggle, if Zhuowen had the upper hand, he would have a way to survive. If Zhuowen was captured or killed, it was very likely that he would die. Zhu Wenlin and Bu Yangrong's thoughts were the same. At this moment, they were also pleasantly surprised. Just what is this Zhuowen's background? How can he be so strong? At the front of the elder group, Immortal City's first elder, Yu Jinghuan, frowned deeply. He looked at everything that happened in the realm, the emotions in his heart complicated and difficult to understand. Jiang Pinghui, who stood beside Yu Jinghuan, was even more dumbstruck. The emotions in her heart were like surging waves, very uneasy. At this moment, Duan Qingyao beside the realm flew into a rage. He looked at Zhuowen sinisterly and said coldly, Tuan, do you really think that no one in Pillaray Immortal City can deal with you? Don't think that just because you killed a few half-step heaven-breaking realm cultivators, you're invincible. In my opinion, you're still just a frog at the bottom of a well. As Duan Qingyao spoke, he stepped into the realm, and the aura on his body suddenly erupted. Duan Qingyao's aura was very terrifying, much more terrifying than the white-haired old man. Wherever his aura spread, countless space and time would be annihilated, forming terrifying black holes around him. The Immortal City Lord has made his move. I think this Zhuowen is finished. The Immortal City Lord is a peak 3rd Blight expert. Coupled with his powerful Array Dao skills, his strength is comparable to an ordinary 4th Blight expert. He is the undisputed number 1 expert of our Pillaray Immortal City. With the Immortal City Lord making his move, this child indeed has no chance. If the Immortal City Lord had made his move earlier, those few people might not have needed to be sacrificed. This one is really lucky, he even dragged a few people down with him. In the square, everyone's eyes lit up when they saw Duan Qingyao enter the realm. Their eyes were bright, and they looked forward to the battle that was about to happen in the realm. In the crowd, Zhu Wenlin's body trembled, and his heart was full of sighs. He knew that this Zhuowen was most likely doomed. Brother Zhu, you really have a good junior brother. He actually dares to act so unscrupulously in the Pillaray Immortal City. He doesn't put the immortal city lord in his eyes at all. Cold and mocking laughter came from behind Zhu Wenlin. Zhu Wenlin turned his head and saw Yu Ziqian with his arms crossed, looking at him coldly. Yu Ziqian was also deeply afraid of Zhuowen's battle achievements. He had even thought of a way to escape from the Pill Array Immortal City. After all, he had offended Zhuowen before. He was really afraid that this Zhuowen's strength could cover the sky with one hand. When the time came, he would act recklessly in the Pill Array Immortal City, and his life would be in danger. But now that Duan Qingyao had made his move, he was completely at ease and began to cause trouble for Zhu Wenlin. Especially when he saw that Zhu Wenlin was frightened, Yu Ziqian was incomparably happy. He knew that Zhu Wenlin and Bu Yangrong were finished. Chapter 3508. Dimensional Explosion Slap. Yu Ziqian stepped forward and slapped Zhu Wenlin. Then, he took out a disc array that he had prepared earlier. Zhu Wenlin originally wanted to retaliate, but the disc array had already landed around him. It then exploded, forming rings of golden ropes that bound him to the spot. Zhu Wenlin was caught off guard. His limbs were bound and he fell to the ground. He kept struggling, but unfortunately he couldn't break free. Bang bang bang. Yu Ziqian took a step forward and kicked Zhu Wenlin mercilessly. His words were filled with insults. The surrounding people watched in silence. No one helped. Even some of Zhu Wenlin's close friends had indifferent looks on their faces. They had no intention of stepping forward to help. Zhu Wenlin's heart was filled with despair. He knew that he had fallen into a state of isolation and helplessness. Even if he was beaten to death, no one would come to his aid. At the same time, Bu Yangrong was in a similar situation. Yu Ziqian's father, Yu Yuanqing, was the first to make things difficult for Bu Yangrong. He used Bu Yangrong as an excuse to cover up for Zhuowen's participation in the Immortal City Grand Competition. In the end, it led to such a disaster. He called for the other elders to arrest Bu Yangrong. Bu Yangrong was weak and his strength could only be considered average. Soon, he was captured by the other elders. His limbs were bound and he lay on the ground. Grand Elder, Bu Yangrong has ulterior motives. This kind of person should be executed immediately as a warning to others. Great Elder, please allow me to personally exterminate this traitor. Yu Yuanqing asked for instructions from Yu Jinghuan. He righteously declared that he was enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens. Bu Yangrong was anxious. He said, Grand Elder, you haven't investigated this matter clearly. You can't come to a conclusion so early. Moreover, even if I'm suspected of covering up, I can only be punished after the trial results are out. Also, Yu Yuanqing is using his position to avenge a private grudge. He wants to use this opportunity to kill me. I hope Grand Elder can judge clearly. Yu Yuanqing snorted coldly. Bu Yangrong, your skin is really thick. Everyone can see the mistakes you've made. Why do you need to be judged? People like you don't deserve to die. As he spoke, Yu Yuanqing took a step forward. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He planned to execute Bu Yangrong on the spot. However, Yu Jinghuan stood in front of Yu Yuanqing. Yuanqing, this matter can only be decided after the trial. Right now, you still can't decide Bu Yangrong's life and death. Yu Jinghuan said indifferently. Yu Yuanqing smiled embarrassedly and did not attack. Instead, he said with a smile, I'll follow First Elder's arrangements. Yu Jinghuan nodded and said, capture Bu Yangrong for now. Once the city governor deals with Zhuowen, we'll let the city governor make the decision. Yu Yuanqing hurriedly agreed. His eyes were filled with anger, but he did not dare to show it. After all, Yu Jinghuan was the first elder. Her status and power were far above his. How could he dare to disobey her orders? Master, the Immortal City Lord has made his move. Suddenly, Jiang Pinghui spoke, and it instantly attracted the attention of Yu Jinghuan and the other elders. Everyone in the square also focused their attention on the bounded domain. At that moment, Duan Qingyao's aura had soared to its peak. Then he took a step forward and rushed toward Zhuowen as fast as lightning. The current Duan Qingyao was too terrifying. He was like an ancient giant beast. His pressure swept out, and the surrounding bounded domain trembled violently, emitting strange sounds. Zhuan's eyes were solemn. Duan Qingyao was definitely the strongest opponent he had encountered so far, second only to Sakyamune, 3 Pure Ones, Black King, and the other top experts. Although Zhuan's strength had improved rapidly, he knew that he could at most fight with an ordinary 4th Blight expert. Whether he could win was still unknown. Boom! Zhuan activated the primordial chant and adjusted his condition to the best. Then he suddenly punched out, and it was like thunder. In just an instant, Zhuan and Duan Qingyao collided, and an unprecedented explosion erupted. It was too terrifying. It spread in all directions, and the extent of the shaking of the bounded domain was even more terrifying. Bang! 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 The moment Zhuan and Duan Qingyao collided, the two of them exchanged dozens of blows in an instant. Each of their blows was extremely terrifying. Zhuan's eyes were solemn. Duan Qingyao's strength was already at the peak of the 3rd Blight. And coupled with Duan Qingyao's super high level of Array Dao, each attack was wrapped in powerful Array Dao restrictions. It was very difficult to deal with, and it multiplied the power. If Zhuan's Array Dao wasn't weaker than Duan Qingyao's, he would have been completely suppressed. However, even so, Zhuan was still at a disadvantage because Duan Qingyao's Array Dao was still stronger than Zhuan's, and his cultivation was also stronger than Zhuan's. At this moment, it was reasonable for him to suppress Zhuan. But Zhuan wasn't weak. Although he was suppressed, it was impossible for Duan Qingyao to defeat him in a short time. Moreover, during the battle between Zhuan and Duan Qingyao, he was constantly evolving the primordial chant. His perception was too terrifying. Even during normal times, his perception was many times stronger than that of ordinary cultivators. And now, during the battle, the probability of him comprehending was even higher. It was possible for him to enter an epiphany again, which would allow his cultivation to advance further. After all, Zhuan was now an extraordinary person, and he couldn't be explained with common sense. Zhuan's body was purple. Although he was suppressed, he became braver as the battle went on, and his eyes gradually revealed a look of enlightenment. Duan Qingyao's eyes were gloomy, and he was shocked. This boy's strength was somewhat beyond his expectations. Furthermore, he did not know if it was his misperception, but he discovered that Zhuan's strength was rapidly increasing during the course of the battle. The speed was extremely fast. This guy is in an epiphany? Duan Qingyao saw the look of enlightenment in Zhuan's eyes, and he was shocked. The probability of him entering an epiphany during the battle was too small. Moreover, this boy was fighting in an epiphany, and his strength was even more terrifying, which caught him off guard. No, I must interrupt this boy. Duan Qingyao felt the pressure. In his current state, he could only barely suppress Zhuan. If he allowed Zhuan to successfully break through, then wouldn't he be suppressed instead? This was something he absolutely couldn't allow. Realm, explode. Duan Qingyao suddenly blasted Zhuan back, and then he took a step out of the realm. His hands formed seals, and he actually detonated the realm. At the same time, he waved his sleeve, and the surrounding spectators were all brought away from the central area. Boom, boom. The realm exploded, and blazing white light shot into the sky, tearing the sky and illuminating the entire alchemy Array Dao domain. It was too dazzling. Amidst the terrifying explosion, Zhuan suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. The surrounding explosive energy was too terrifying, and it was eroding Zhuan's body. Zhuan's eyes were slightly clear. He took out defensive divine artifacts from his great world, and used the profound creation mysterious light to surround himself tightly, and continued to enter an epiphany. He had reached a critical moment, and he absolutely couldn't stop. Otherwise, all his efforts would be in vain. As long as he successfully advanced this time, then Duan Qingyao would undoubtedly be defeated, and he could easily defeat him. Boom, boom, boom. Duan Qingyao stood in the distant void with his hands behind his back. He looked at the dazzling explosion in the distance with a mocking smile. This boy still wants to fight with me? In the end, he will still die in my hands. Chapter 3509. The second decay. Amidst the terrifying realm explosion, energy swept out and space shattered. Zhuan was in the midst of this terrifying explosive energy, bitterly holding on. The defensive divine artifacts surrounding him were shattering and collapsing one after another. Zhuan's eyes were dazed. He was still in a state of epiphany, leaving only a small part of his mind to pay attention to everything in the outside world. I'm about to break through. Hold on a little longer. Zhuan muttered to himself. He began to take out the chaos crystal and frantically absorbed the chaos energy. His aura was constantly strengthening, surpassing the aura of the peak of the first decay. Finally, the last defensive divine artifact around Zhuan shattered. The explosive energy in the surroundings surged like a tidal wave, instantly drowning Zhuan. Zhuan's body was shrouded in purple light. After he cultivated the primordial mantra, the profound creation mysterious light that he used had also turned purple. Its power had increased countless times. The profound creation mysterious light barely helped Zhuan block the explosive energy, but the purple light was quickly fading. Clearly, it couldn't hold on for long. When the profound creation mysterious light was completely annihilated, Zhuan's eyes suddenly opened. In the depths of his eyes, there was a mysterious purple light surging. It was blazing and deep. The chaos crystal in Zhuan's hand had completely turned into dust. Its energy had been completely absorbed by Zhuan. This chaos crystal was left over from the last time Zhuan had absorbed it. It only had 1/3 of its energy. Now that Zhuan had absorbed it, he had absorbed all the energy in the chaos crystal. Because of this, he had successfully broken through. Boom! Zhuan's aura was extremely vast. The purple light spread out in all directions like a tide, forming endless purple ripples. Zhuan knew that he had already advanced to the second decay. Next, the second decay would descend from the depths of the universe. I'm afraid the blight this time is going to be terrifying. Zhuan couldn't help but smile bitterly when he recalled the first decay. At that time, even the gung metal sword rain had appeared. It was really unexpected. This time, the blight would only be more powerful. Zhuan's purple light soared into the sky, and the surrounding explosive energy was basically blocked by Zhuan's purple light. When the energy of the explosion gradually dissipated, Zhuan slowly walked out and stared coldly at the complacent Duan Qingyao not far away. When Duan Qingyao saw Zhuan, his expression was very interesting. It was as if he had been petrified, standing still on the spot. As for the people in the square, they were all petrified and felt that it was inconceivable. The self-destruction of a half-step Heavenbreaker realm was enough to kill a third blight cultivator. Even someone at the peak of the third blight would be severely injured if they were hit by such an explosion. However, Zhuan did not die. Although he looked miserable, he did not suffer too much damage. Oh my god! What kind of freak is this Zhuan? He's actually still alive. At this moment, Yu Ziqian, who was holding the half-dead Zhu Wenlin, saw Zhuan appear in front of him alive, and his whole body trembled. His legs went weak and he almost fell to the ground. The elders in the distance were all dumbfounded. It was as if they had received an unprecedented blow. What's going on? The Zhuan. Yu Yuanqing's body was also trembling. His hand holding Bu Yangrong was also trembling. Zhuan looked calmly at Duan Qingyao, who was also in shock, and said indifferently, "Old dog Duan. This is your final move? Is this all you've got? Are you trying to tickle me?" Duan Qingyao came to his senses and heard Zhuan call him Old Dog Duan. He was furious. He was the lord of the Pill Array Immortal City, the true ruler of the Pill Array Immortal City. He was respected by tens of thousands of people, and his status was extraordinary and noble. When had anyone called him Old Dog Duan? However, someone was insulting him, and this person was the cancer he wanted to get rid of. Duan, you're very lucky to be able to survive the realm explosion. I can't help but admire your good luck. Duan Qingyao's eyes were gloomy. He still looked down on Zhuan. He felt that Zhuan was only lucky enough to survive. That's right. My luck is indeed good. I also believe that I can rely on my good luck to destroy you, Old Dog Duan. Zhuan sneered. He stepped out with his right foot and swept to Duan Qingyao's side in an instant. He threw a punch. Duan Qingyao snorted and waved his sleeve. Instantly, A series of Array Dao restriction runes surged out and easily blocked Zhuowen's attack. Duan Qingyao grabbed Zhuowen's fist and said contemptuously, I have to say that your strength is only SOS. There is still a certain gap between you and me. You will lose if you fight with me. Duan Qingyao was high and mighty. However, he soon realized that something was amiss. This was because he saw Zhuowen's lips curl into a mocking smile. This smile contained disdain and ridicule. What are you laughing at? Duan Qingyao said coldly. I'm laughing at your stupidity. You're as stupid as a pig. Zhuowen said with a faint smile. Duan Qingyao was furious. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He stirred up all the power in his body, wanting to completely kill Zhuowen. However, he soon felt that something was wrong. He discovered that in the depths of the starry sky, there was a terrifying power surging. Rumble. Suddenly, in the depths of the starry sky, a huge black hole appeared. Then, a terrifying energy descended from the black hole. This energy was too blazing. It was colorful and very bright. Of course, its power was also terrifying. Bad luck? You're actually going through a bad luck? Duan Qingyao's pupils shrank. He finally understood why Zhuowen was laughing at him. This guy deliberately lured him over to use the bad luck to trick him. Zhuowen, you're so naive that it's ridiculous. You're at most at the peak of the first bad luck. Just now, you only broke through the second bad luck. That's only the second bad luck. And I'm already at the peak of the third bad luck. Do you think this kind of bad luck will affect me? Duan Qingyao blasted Zhuowen away with a punch. The corner of his mouth was still filled with disdain and arrogance. He still looked down on Zhuowen. Oh, old dog Duan, you're very confident. However, you're going to cry later. Zhuowen sneered. He was very clear about how terrifying his bad luck was. When he was going through the first bad luck, a second bad luck expert who forced their way into his bad luck was instantly annihilated. Now, his second bad luck would only be more terrifying. Duan Qingyao definitely wouldn't gain any advantage if he faced it head-on. Rumble. At this moment, the second bad luck had already descended. It was colorful and filled with powerful energy, forming a terrifying energy vortex. Duan Qingyao didn't escape. His eyes were locked on Zhuowen. The corner of his mouth was filled with bloodthirst. Zhuowen, you'll definitely die today. Your bad luck has no effect on me at all. As he spoke, Duan Qingyao didn't care about the descending bad luck at all. He directly pounced on Zhuowen. With a wave of his sleeve, he threw out array discs, forming a terrifying restriction spear. It tore through the air and rushed towards the space between Zhuowen's eyebrows. Zhuowen cursed in his heart. This old dog Duan is a good-for-nothing. Launching an attack in this bad luck, does he really think he's immortal? However, Zhuowen didn't dare to be negligent. The pores on his body contracted and his muscles tensed up, preparing to defend against the upcoming bad luck and Duan Qingyao. He didn't dare to take the initiative to attack. He put all his energy into defense. This was also to save energy. Rumble. Chapter 35:10. Heaven in Lightning. Divine Lightning. Zhuowen's entire body was covered in purple light. Both of his palms quickly struck out. Every palm strike landed on the spear's handle, and he was constantly pushed back. Powerful palm energy surged out. The restriction spear that was rushing towards him finally could not hold on under Zhuowen's last palm strike, and it collapsed with a loud bang. As for Duan Qingyao, he was following closely behind the restriction spear. After the restriction spear was completely destroyed by Zhuowen, Duan Qingyao decisively struck out. He punched toward Zhuowen's forehead. Zhuowen was helpless. He could only block Duan Qingyao's punch. With a groan, he could not help but take a few steps back. Duan Qingyao revealed a pleased smile. He originally wanted to attack further and kill Zhuowen, but the energy of the decay tribulation had already descended. The second decay tribulation is simply too weak to withstand a single blow. Duan Qingyao did not put the decay tribulation in his eyes. With a wave of his sleeve, he casually blocked the energy of the decay tribulation. Puchi. But very quickly, Duan Qingyao's expression changed. His attack was instantly broken through by the decay tribulation. Following that, his right hand was directly annihilated by the decay tribulation energy. Duan Qingyao let out a blood-curdling scream and quickly retreated. However, the decay tribulation seemed to have locked onto him. It chased after him relentlessly and did not let him go. At this moment, Duan Qingyao was in a very sorry state. He was being chased by the decay tribulation. He was clenching his teeth in pain, and smoke was rising from his head. As for Zhuowen, he was not much better off. He was also howling in pain from the blight tribulation. However, because of Duan Qingyao's interference, a portion of the decay tribulation's energy was split by Duan Qingyao. Therefore, Duan did not feel that much pressure from the decay tribulation. At this moment, the entire sky above Dan Array Immortal City was surrounded by the terrifying decay tribulation energy. The terrifying energy was like a huge ring-shaped sun that was constantly rotating. It illuminated the entire Immortal City as if it was daytime. All the cultivators in Pil Array Immortal City were shocked. They didn't expect the blight tribulation to suddenly descend. Furthermore, this blight tribulation was a little too terrifying. The blazing energy completely submerged Duan Qingyao and Zhuowen's figures. It was impossible to see their exact positions. They could only vaguely hear Duan Qingyao and Zhuowen's miserable cries coming from above. This is Zhuowen's misfortune. This is only the second blight. How can it be so terrifying? Immortal City's Grand Elder Yu Jinghuan was in disbelief. The moment the blight descended, he could see that this was the second blight. It was clear that Zhuowen was only a first blight cultivator from the start. With this kind of cultivation, he could actually kill an early-stage third blight cultivator. This guy was too heaven-defying. What was even more heaven-defying was that this child's blight tribulation caused even Duan Qingyao to cry out in pain. He was unable to break free and was surrounded by the blight tribulation. Grand Elder, rumor has it that heaven-defying geniuses are too powerful and can fight above their realm. They are envied by the heavens, and their blight tribulations are extremely terrifying. This child might be such a heaven-defying genius. Among the group of elders, an elder said softly to Yu Jinghuan, recounting an ancient rumor. Yu Jinghuan's eyes became serious and he bitterly said, "I'm afraid we have provoked someone we shouldn't have provoked." Yu Jinghuan agreed with this elder's words. He also thought that this one was too heaven-defying. He was only at the first blight, yet he had such terrifying battle strength. Now that this child was going through his blight tribulation was so abnormal. Once this fellow successfully passed his blight tribulation, even the city lord, Duan Qingyao, might not be this Zhuowen's match. The blight tribulation lasted for a very long time. After 3 days and 3 nights, the terrifying blight finally showed signs of weakening. The light gradually faded. Everyone in the city used their eye techniques and immediately noticed the 2 people in the blight tribulation. They were surprised to discover that although Zhuowen's flesh was lacerated, and he appeared to be dripping with blood, and appeared to be in a rather miserable state, his aura was unceasingly rising. Moreover, the life force on his body was also growing stronger and stronger, surging over and rapidly healing the injuries on his body. On the other hand, the city lord, Duan Qingyao, was scorched black and his aura was weak. He had been beaten black and blue by the blight tribulation and was extremely weak. However, Duan Qingyao was still the city lord. He took out many half-step heaven-breaking pills and swallowed them as if they were free. His vitality was quickly recovering. Duan Qingyao stood up and looked at Zhuowen. The killing intent in his eyes was monstrous and terrifying. He now completely understood that he had been used by Zhuowen to go through his tribulation. This feeling of being set up made him very depressed. He felt like he was suffocating and he just wanted to vent it out. "Zhun, you dare to trick me? You'll pay the price." Duan Qingyao roared. He kicked off with his right foot and continued to rush toward Zhuowen. At this moment, Zhuowen's eyes suddenly opened. His eyes were filled with a strange purple light. Zhuowen turned his head and looked indifferently at Duan Qingyao, who was rushing over. The corners of his mouth revealed a mocking smile. Duan Qingyao was approaching Zhuowen. When he saw the smile on Zhuowen's face, his heart skipped a beat. He was all too familiar with this smile. This was the same smile this kid had when he lured him into the Blight Tribulation. Now he was smiling again. Could it be that he was going to trick him again? Humph. The Blight Tribulation is over. This kid has nothing else to rely on. He's just bluffing. Duan Qingyao comforted himself and forced himself to calm down. His aura erupted like a tide, and he swooped down toward Jun. Old dog Duan, it seems like you don't have a good memory at all. Jun threw out a punch and punched Duan Qingyao. Jun made use of the momentum of the punch to retreat. At the same time, he hooked Duan Qingyao with one hand and entangled him tightly. What are you trying to do? Duan Qingyao felt that something was wrong and began to struggle. Of course, I want you to help me pass the tribulation. Duan laughed. Duan Qingyao's pupils constricted. Then his scalp went numb. He felt an even more terrifying energy surging in the depths of the starry sky. Rumble. Suddenly, a golden divine thunder descended from the depths of the starry sky. It was as thick as a bucket and blasted Duan Qingyao directly. Sizzle. 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 The golden electric current flowed through Duan Qingyao's body. Duan Qingyao screamed. His whole body convulsed. His body was charred black and his hair stood on end as if he was roasted. Zhuowen's expression changed slightly. He quickly let go of Duan Qingyao and quickly retreated. However, another golden divine thunder descended from the depths of the starry sky. This time, it chased after Zhuowen. It was like a golden python that instantly coiled around Zhuowen. Zhuowen's body trembled and he cursed in his heart. His entire body was charred black and countless electric currents flowed on the surface of his body. Damn, it's actually the apocalyptic golden lightning. I'm only in the second blight, and this kind of blight energy actually descended. You damn heavens, you're trying to kill me. Zhuowen grimaced. He took out a jade bottle and swallowed a healing elixir. He circulated the primordial chant and quickly healed his injuries. At the same time, he cursed loudly and pointed his middle finger at the depths of the starry sky. The apocalyptic golden lightning. This kind of blight energy was usually only used in the fourth blight. Now, it had directly descended in Zhuowen's second blight. This was the rhythm of death. Chapter 35:11. Sharing, it's the heaven enlightening lightning. This should only appear in the fourth decay. This is too illogical. Yu Jinghuan, the great elder of the immortal city, was dumbfounded and did not know what to say. The heaven enlightening lightning was too terrifying. Even if it was him, if he was struck by the heaven enlightening lightning, his body and soul would be destroyed and he would be dead. As for the immortal city lord, Duan Qingyao, with his high cultivation, he would be severely injured by the heaven enlightening lightning. Everyone in the Pill Array immortal city retreated with tacit understanding, leaving the city one after another. The heaven enlightening lightning was too terrifying. If it accidentally struck the immortal city, the entire city would be destroyed. If they continued to stay in the immortal city, they would be courting death. Just in case, it was better to leave the city as far as possible. Moreover, some cultivators were even more outrageous. They almost ran to a place where they couldn't see the city anymore before giving up. In the sky above the immortal city, countless golden lightning bolts surged and surrounded the city. These strands of lightning were like shackles that firmly locked down the sky above the Pill Array immortal city. It was as if the ground had been drawn into a prison and turned into a world of golden lightning. Duan Qingyao complained. He was trapped in the heaven enlightening lightning and could not escape. He was constantly struck by lightning and he was in a terrible state. Every time he was struck by lightning and vomited blood, he could only use the healing pills on him to quickly recover. Only then could he withstand the next wave of golden lightning. However, Duan Qingyao knew that if this continued, he would not be able to hold on for long. He would be struck to death easily. Just like that, he would become the first immortal city lord to be struck to death by lightning. This was too humiliating. He did not want to die in such a humiliating way. This guy. When Duan Qingyao looked at Zhuowen, he was stunned because Zhuowen had actually withstood the bombardment of the golden lightning. Zhuowen's body was crystal clear and surrounded by a dense purple light. He looked like a purple jade statue. Countless bolts of golden lightning struck Zhuowen's body, causing his flesh to split open and leaving him in a miserable state. However, Duan Qingyao was very observant. He could tell that although Zhuowen's physical body was in a miserable state, his physical body was very special and could recover extremely quickly. Furthermore, he discovered that Zhuowen's body seemed to have absorbed a small portion of the golden lightning after it had been split open by the golden lightning. Isn't this guy a human? How can his physical body be so strong? Duan Qingyao's heart trembled. He found it unbelievable. Zhuowen's physical body was a little too strong. He didn't seem like a human at all. Instead, he seemed more like an alien. At the same time, Duan Qingyao felt a sense of crisis in his heart. He felt that this Zhuan could not be left alone. He knew very well that even if he could survive the tribulation of the Tianqi divine lightning, he would still be severely injured. However, after Zhuowen survived the tribulation, his strength would increase exponentially. The injuries on his body would recover rapidly because of the breakthrough. When that time came, he would be finished. Thinking of this, Duan Qingyao's eyes turned cold. He began to drag his injured body closer to Zhuowen. He had a lot of healing elixirs in his spirit ring, and all of them were half-step heaven-breaking divine pellets. He knew that he had to kill Zhuowen before he was severely injured. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the chance to do so. Finally, Duan Qingyao spent a lot of effort and was very close to Zhuowen. He swallowed a healing elixir and adjusted his body to its peak state. Then, Duan Qingyao attacked. His right hand formed a palm, and his target was Zhuowen's heart. However, the moment Duan Qingyao's right hand approached Zhuowen, it was immediately grabbed by Zhuowen and pulled back. City Lord Duan, you are still so kind. You came to help me share the burden of the divine lightning, right? Zhuowen smiled and grabbed Duan Qingyao's right hand tightly. Boom! Several bolts of heaven enlightening divine lightning descended and landed on Zhuowen with a loud boom. The golden lightning exploded from Zhuowen's body and spread to Duan Qingyao's body in an instant. Fuck! You bastard, let go of me. Duan Qingyao's body, which had just recovered with the help of the elixir, was once again split open. He was bleeding and screaming in pain. His body was charred black. Zhuowen was also in a miserable state. His body, which had just recovered, was also split open by the golden lightning. His bones were almost visible. However, Zhuowen's body was not ordinary. It was the Pangu sacred body, a middle-stage 9-star Pangu sacred body. The toughness of his body had reached a terrifying level. Duan Qingyao was almost unable to resist. His whole body was trembling and his eyes rolled back. Zhuowen was in a much better state than Duan Qingyao. Originally, he wanted to get rid of Duan Qingyao directly. However, he was now paralyzed by the golden lightning. It was difficult for him to move and the energy in his body was not flowing smoothly. He could not unleash his killing power at all. Zhuowen saw a shining ring on the middle finger of Duan Qingyao's right hand that he was grabbing. He knew that it was Duan Qingyao's spiritual ring. He took off the spiritual ring with difficulty and slapped Duan Qingyao's face, sending him flying. After Duan Qingyao was sent flying, another golden lightning bolt fell from the sky. This golden lightning bolt did not hit Zhuowen but Duan Qingyao. Duan Qingyao screamed in pain like a pig being slaughtered. It was very miserable. Zhuowen took advantage of the interval between the golden lightning bolts and quickly unlocked the spiritual ring. He was pleasantly surprised to find that there were many precious elixirs in the spiritual ring. There were many half-step heaven-breaking elixirs in the spiritual ring. There were also some bottles and jars, most of which were half-step heaven-breaking elixirs. There were also many other precious resources. Zhuowen was dumbfounded. He could not help but admire the wealth of the immortal city lord. There were so many resources in the spiritual ring alone. These resources were much more than the total amount of resources in his great world. I'm rich. Zhuowen was wild with joy. He immediately took out a healing elixir from the spiritual ring and swallowed it. This was a half-step heaven-breaking elixir. Its rich medicinal power merged into Zhuowen's body and rapidly healed his injuries. Combined with Zhuowen's powerful recovery ability, Most of the injuries on Zhuowen's body were healed in a short time. Although Zhuowen also had a half-step heaven-breaking elixir, the rebirth elixir, which he had just refined, it was not a healing elixir. It did not have much effect on Zhuowen's recovery. However, most of the elixirs in Duan Qingyao's spiritual ring were half-step heaven-breaking elixirs. They were extremely effective. Not far away, Duan Qingyao, who was grimacing in pain from being struck by the golden lightning, also realized that his spiritual ring had been stolen. "Zhuowen, how dare you snatch my spirit ring? Hurry up and return it to me." Duan Qingyao was mad with anger. That spiritual ring contained many of his important belongings. Its value was immeasurable. Now that it had been stolen by Zhuowen, it was truly too painful. "Return it to you?" "Sure." Zhuowen grinned. He took a step forward and rushed toward Duan Qingyao. At this moment, the golden lightning had just struck, and Zhuowen had already withstood it. There was still some time before the next wave of golden lightning struck. Zhuowen's injuries were completely healed under the effects of the half-step heaven-breaking elixir. At this moment, his essence, energy, and spirit had reached their peak. Chapter 35:12. Dumbfounded. Duan Qingyao realized that something was wrong when he saw Zhuowen dashing toward him. He started to retreat without caring about his injuries. "City Governor Duan, why are you running away? I'm here to return your spiritual ring." Zhuowen smiled mockingly as he approached Duan Qingyao. Duan Qingyao was really frightened. He said hurriedly, "Just throw the spiritual ring to me. You don't have to come over." "How can I do that? I must return it to you personally." Zhuowen was all smiles, appearing very amiable. However, his speed was very fast, and he was rapidly approaching. Bang! Duan Qingyao was seriously injured, so he was not as fast as Zhuowen. Soon, Zhuowen caught up with him. Zhuowen stomped on his face. Duan Qingyao spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground with his head down. Before he could react, Zhuowen had arrived and stomped on Duan Qingyao's head. Duan Qingyao's head, which was just about to lift up, was stomped into the ground again. "City Governor Duan, I haven't returned your spiritual ring. Why are you so polite? You even prostrated yourself in front of me. I'm a little embarrassed," Zhuowen said indifferently. Duan Qingyao kept struggling. Unfortunately, Zhuowen was too strong. His head was still in the ground and could not be pulled out. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, terrifying golden lightning surged in the depths of the starry sky again. It was dazzling and brilliant. Zhuowen's expression changed slightly. He immediately took out several beast bone array discs and set up a confinement array to imprison Duan Qingyao. At the same time, he mercilessly punched Duan Qingyao in the back of his head. Duan Qingyao saw stars and fainted. Boom, 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 boom. The apocalyptic divine lightning struck again. This time, there were 108 bolts. They merged into a huge golden lightning dragon that filled the starry sky. Damn it! Isn't this a little too terrifying? Zhuowen's gaze turned serious. He took a step forward and leaped into the starry sky. He punched out fiercely. The primordial incantation combined with the 5 profundities instantly unleashed a peerless might. Bang bang bang! The golden lightning dragon was smashed and exploded into a golden rain of lightning. Then, the lightning dragon roared and roared, splashing out even more terrifying lightning energy in all directions. As for Zhuowen, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was filled with electricity, and his entire body was instantly charred black. However, Zhuowen was very stubborn. He swallowed the healing elixir again to resist the lightning dragon. Then he started to absorb the terrifying energy from the lightning dragon with his Pangu sacred body and turned it into his own. Just like this, Zhuowen and Lei Long were in a deadlock for several hours. Finally, the golden lightning dragon let out a roar. It was unable to outlast Zhuowen, and it collapsed with a loud bang, turning into countless golden lightning strands. Zhuowen fell from the sky and smashed onto the ground. His entire body seemed to have fallen apart. He looked extremely charred like charcoal. Zhuowen lay on his back for a long time. Only then did he realize that a mysterious power came from the void and quickly poured into his body. his almost dead body began to quickly recover. Moreover, this power was constantly helping him improve his cultivation. In an instant, his cultivation rose from the peak of the first blight to the early stage of the second blight, and then to the middle stage. This tribulation was too terrifying. After Zhuan survived, he obtained great benefits. He directly advanced to the middle stage of the second blight, and his strength skyrocketed. Zhuan patted the dust off his body. He took out a new set of clothes from the Great World and put them on. Then he walked toward Duan Qingyao, who was not far away. At this moment, Duan Qingyao was still in a trance. His entire body was in a daze. Zhuan didn't just hit the back of his head. He also used a powerful divine sense to attack Duan Qingyao's divine sense. Otherwise, Duan Qingyao wouldn't have fainted so easily. Zhuan lifted Duan Qingyao up and very straightforwardly tore apart Duan Qingyao's foundation. Then he casually threw him on the ground. The intense pain caused Duan Qingyao to wake up. His face was pale, and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. His lips were white and trembling. My foundation was destroyed? Duan Qingyao's face was ashen. He sensed something. He looked at Zhuan and shouted hysterically. Unfortunately, Duan Qingyao was too weak. He couldn't even stand properly. He could only shout there. He didn't have the ability to attack Zhuan at all. At this moment, the blight tribulation had already subsided. Those cultivators who left the Pill Array Immortal City to avoid the blight tribulation had all returned. They wanted to see what was going on between Zhuan and Duan Qingyao. That Zhuan should be finished. City Lord Duan is the city lord after all. In addition to that terrifying blight tribulation, Yuan will die even if he doesn't. Yu Ziqian carried the half-dead Zhu Wenlin and followed the crowd towards the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. He had always believed that Duan Qingyao would win. He had blind confidence in Duan Qingyao. Under Yu Jinghuan's lead, the Elder Council was also rapidly approaching the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. The elders of the Council of Elders were all excited. Their thoughts were similar to Yu Ziqian's. Those who were approaching the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion were inclined to believe that Duan Qingyao would win. When the blight tribulation happened, the entire Pill Array Immortal City was surrounded by terrifying energy. It was impossible to see what was happening inside. Therefore, they didn't know that Duan Qingyao was now a cripple. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Soon, the crowd arrived at the square near the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. The Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion was still standing. In the terrifying blight tribulation, the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion was still intact. This showed how extraordinary this building was. After all, it was the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's cave abode. The other buildings around the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion had long been destroyed. Not even ruins remained. The Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion stood there alone. It seemed lonely and cold. At this moment, on the flat ground in front of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion, a figure stood like a spear. It was like a statue that had existed since ancient times. As for the other figure, he was kneeling on the ground and screaming hysterically. His voice was very miserable. That Zhuan is kneeling and begging for mercy. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have done it. Yu Ziqian was very excited. The two figures had their backs facing him. Moreover, the surroundings were filled with smoke, so he couldn't see clearly. He was extremely fast and was the first to enter the square. He carried Zhu Wenlin and laughed, thinking that the figure kneeling on the ground was Zhun. However, as Yu Ziqian stopped in the square, the smoke gradually dissipated. His eyes narrowed and his entire body froze on the spot. It was as if he had turned to stone. What did he see? Why did he have such an expression of disbelief? One after another, cultivators arrived at the square. They were all petrified and froze on the spot. They saw clearly that the figure who stood like a spear was Zhun. The person who was screaming hysterically was their most respected immortal city lord, Duan Qingyao. What's going on? Yu Jinghuan had also arrived with the elders. When she saw this scene, she was dumbfounded and asked subconsciously, "Thud, thud, thud." At this moment, Zhuan moved. He slowly walked toward Duan Qingyao. Chapter 35:13. Cleaning. Stop it. He is the city lord. What are you trying to do? Yu Jinghuan reacted and shouted, trying to stop Zhuan. Zhuan held Duan Qingyao in one hand and looked at Yu Jinghuan from the corner of his eyes. Seeing the latter trembling in fear, his voice became softer. I'll return the city lord to you. Zhuowen's gaze was calm as he threw the half-dead Duan Qingyao towards Yu Jinghuan. Duan Qingyao shot out like a missile and smashed heavily into Yu Jinghuan's body. Yu Jinghuan was prepared. He gathered energy in his hands and tried to catch Duan Qingyao. However, as soon as Yu Jinghuan's hands came into contact with Duan Qingyao, he sensed a vast and terrifying energy attack him. His hands were directly broken, and his body was heavily smashed by Duan Qingyao, causing him to fly away. Splat. Yu Jinghuan fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. Duan Qingyao screamed in pain and struggled. Unfortunately, Duan Qingyao's injuries were too serious. After struggling for a while, he couldn't stand up. He could only lie on the ground like a dead worm. Grand Elder, Immortal City Lord. Are you all right? The elders of the Elder Committee stepped forward and helped Yu Jinghuan and Duan Qingyao to their feet. Yu Jinghuan shook his head and said, I'm fine. I'm only slightly injured. Go and see how City Lord Duan is doing. Great Elder. City Lord Duan's foundation has been destroyed. His cultivation has been destroyed. He has become a cripple. An elder reported in fear. What? His foundation has been destroyed? Yu Jinghuan stared and hurried to Duan Qingyao's side. He found that the latter's foundation had been destroyed. At this moment, Duan Qingyao had already fainted from the impact and was unconscious. Duan, aren't you a little too ruthless? How dare you destroy City Lord Duan's foundation? Among the elders, Yu Yuanqing's eyes were red. He glared at Zhuan and shouted angrily. However, as soon as Yu Yuanqing finished speaking, he was slapped to the ground by Zhuan. His cheeks swelled up, and he spat out a mouthful of blood mixed with his teeth. His entire body twitched uncontrollably. You have guts. You are also very stupid. Even at this time, you still dare to stand out and criticize me? You're simply courting death. Zhuowen's voice was very calm and filled with coldness. Just as Yu Yuanqing was about to get up, Zhuan slammed his palm down again. Yu Yuanqing was suppressed and slammed into the ground face first. It was as if he was embedded in the ground. All the bones in his body were shattered. He lay there motionless, clearly half dead. The elders of the Elder Committee trembled in fear, not daring to say a word. This Zhuan in front of them was a ruthless person who had consecutively killed 5 half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses. Even the immortal city lord Duan Qingyao had been crippled by this person. In the entire Pill Array Immortal City, he was already unrivaled. Who allowed you to tie up Elder Bu Yangrong? Zhuowen said with a cold expression when he saw Bu Yangrong tied up behind the elder group. The elders of the Elder Committee were shocked, and they hurriedly untied Bu Yangrong. Lord Zhuo, this was Yu Yuanqing's idea. He was the one who insisted on capturing Bu Yangrong. We didn't agree at that time. After untying Bu Yangrong, the elders of the Elder Committee hurriedly explained themselves and pushed all the blame to Yu Yuanqing. According to what you said, Yu Yuanqing indeed deserved to die. Zhuowen's voice was calm. With a flick of his finger, a purple flame swept out and landed on Yu Yuanqing, who was still lying on the ground. Ah! Yu Yuanqing screamed miserably. His entire body was enveloped by the purple flame, and he was quickly burned to ashes. He couldn't be more dead. Seeing this scene, the Elder Committee and the people on the square trembled with fear in their eyes. Among the crowd, Yu Ziqian knelt on the ground in fear. His father was killed just like that, and he knew that his ending wouldn't be much better than Yu Yuanqing's. I have to run. Yu Ziqian roared in his heart. Without even thinking, he abandoned Zhu Wenlin and ran into the depths of the crowd. Zhuan glanced sideways at Yu Ziqian's fleeing figure and said indifferently, Yu Ziqian, did I say you could leave? Yu Ziqian, who was originally running for his life, stopped the moment he heard this voice. However, he quickly ran even faster. Unfortunately, a purple flame was faster than him. It landed on his body and burned him to ashes. Yun undid the shackles on Zhu Wenlin's body. Zhu Wenlin hurriedly walked to Zhuo Wen's side and stood beside Bu Yangrong respectfully. At this moment, Bu Yangrong and Zhu Wenlin's feelings were very complicated. Zhuan actually had the last laugh, and even the Celestial City Lord had been defeated by him. Zhuan, what are you trying to do? You killed half-a-step heaven-breaking realm cultivators of my Pill Array Immortal City and even crippled the Celestial City Lord. What is your goal? Yu Jinghuan's eyes were red, and he couldn't help but roar. Shouldn't you ask your beloved Celestial City Lord this question? At first, he forced me to stay, and after I declined, he wanted me to become his slave. In the end, he even wanted to kill me to silence me. Well, now, I was just defending myself and accidentally crippled the Celestial City Lord. I even killed a few half-step heaven-breaking realm cultivators. Is it all my fault? Zhuan sneered and mocked him without holding back. He had no intention of becoming enemies with Pill Array Immortal City, and he had already made it clear. Unfortunately, the Celestial City Lord, Duan Qingyao, was too greedy and wanted him to stay, making him Duan Qingyao's free labor. Yu Jinghuan was silent. This matter was indeed started by Duan Qingyao, and he had nothing to say. But you took away the true Pill Array record remnant of our Pill Array Immortal City. That's a priceless treasure. How could we allow you to take it away as you wish? Yu Jinghuan said in a low voice. Isn't the rule of the grand competition of Immortal City to give away 3 ancient records in the Pill Array Immortal Residence? I have the strength to reach the top floor and obtain the true Pill Array record remnant, so I didn't break the rules. It's reasonable. Could it be that your grand competition of Immortal City is a joke? You want to return the ancient records after taking them? Zhuowen sneered. Yu Jinghuan remained silent. Zhuowen wasn't wrong. After all, the remnant Pill Array true record was obtained by Mo Wuji with his own strength. If they wanted to forcefully take it back and even force Mo Wuji to join the Pill Array Immortal City, they were indeed going overboard. This time, I'll teach your Pill Array Immortal City a lesson. You have to understand that with my strength, it's not difficult for me to slaughter your Pill Array Immortal City. Once these words were spoken, the entire square was in an uproar. Everyone revealed a look of fear. They were really afraid that Zhuowen would slaughter the entire city. Yu Jinghuan was even more flustered. He quickly begged Zhuowen for mercy, telling him not to act recklessly. He hoped that he would let the other people of the Pill Array Immortal City go. Don't worry, I, Yun, am not a bloodthirsty person. Today's matter was caused by Duan Qingyao, so I'm only looking for him to settle the score. I won't touch any of you. But if anyone dares to protect Duan Qingyao, then don't blame me for being impolite. Zhuan said, looking at Yu Jinghuan, his gaze was calm and cold. Yu Jinghuan bitterly smiled and let go of Duan Qingyao. The other elders also continuously retreated, distancing themselves from Duan Qingyao. Zhuan lifted up the half-dead Duan Qingyao and said to Yu Jinghuan's elders, everyone, give me, some face. Today's matter has nothing to do with Bu Yangrong and Zhu Wenlin. I hope you won't make things difficult for them. Chapter 35:14. Refining the 6 desires spirit congealing pill. The elders looked at each other and smiled bitterly, saying that they did not dare to do so. With a ruthless person like Zhuan around, they really did not dare to touch Bu Yangrong and Zhu Wenlin. Zhuan nodded. Just as he was about to leave, Duan Qingyao, who was in his hand, woke up. A surge of violent energy came from Duan Qingyao's body. Duan, I won't let you go even if I die. Duan Qingyao roared. His whole body emitted a blazing light like a sun. Oh no! Duan Qingyao is going to self-destruct. Bu Yangrong and Zhu Wenlin's faces changed. Zhuowen's eyes narrowed. Purple light surged in his right palm and entered Duan Qingyao's body. The terrifying shattering divine power, in a tyrannical manner, quickly destroyed everything in Duan Qingyao's body, including his meridians and organs. The self-destruct energy in Duan Qingyao's body was suppressed by the shattering divine power. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Duan suddenly threw Duan Qingyao into the sky. A purple flame surged out from his finger and landed on Duan Qingyao's body, burning him to ashes. Everyone, See you again. Zhuan casually finished this and left the Alchemy Array Immortal City, leaving behind a dazed crowd. Zhuan spent a few days to leave the Alchemy Array Dao region and return to the host region. If he wanted to go to the old site of the Heavenly Armor Star, he would have to pass through the host region's Heavenly Moat. The old site of the Heavenly Armor Star was in the Heavenly Moat, near the border of the 8 heavenly regions, which was near the current monster region. However, after Zhuan returned to the East Dao region, he did not immediately go to the Heavenly Moat. Instead, he found a quieter place and attached the Great World to an inconspicuous meteorite. He then entered the Great World. Ryuka was built in the southeast region of the Great World. The region was vast and rich in resources. During this time, Ryuka was completely stationed there. With the rich resources in the Great World, Ryuka's development was flourishing. Zhuan looked at the territory where Ryuka was. His eyes flashed and he thought for a long time. He knew that he would leave the lower star world in the future. However, Ryuka could not leave. The chaotic starry sky was too. The 100 outer domains were full of experts. Zhuan and the Ryuka living in the world would be destroyed. Ryuka in the Great World. Ryuka and Ryuka. Ryuka in the Great World. Ryuka, studio, and... But now, he couldn't completely let the Long family leave the Great World. He was not really invincible in the lower world. He still had many enemies, such as Wu Taiji, the master of the Wizard Tower in the Heaven Accessing Place. He was no match for him yet. Once he was truly invincible in the lower star world, he would eliminate all his enemies and let Ryuka live in the lower star world. At that time, Zhuowen, who had no more worries, would leave this place and enter the primal chaos cosmos. When Zhuowen entered the Ryuka base, Dragon Xiaotian, Lu Hantian, and the other Ryuka leaders came out to welcome him. They gave Zhuowen a warm welcome. Crepe Myrtle Star even came out of seclusion and gave Zhuowen a big hug. Crepe Myrtle Star's progress was fast. He was on the verge of a breakthrough. He only needed an opportunity to break through from the Master Late Stage to the Master Peak. Zhuowen gave Crepe Myrtle Star a Rank 8 Marrow Cleansing Immortal Pill. The Rank 8 Marrow Cleansing Immortal Pill was a Master Peak Immortal Pill. It could help practitioners in the Master Late Stage enter a short period of enlightenment and increase their chances of advancing to the Master Peak. Crepe Myrtle Star was overjoyed after receiving the Rank 8 Marrow Cleansing Immortal Pill. He immediately went back to seclusion, intending to break through to the Master Peak. Zhuan looked at Crepe Myrtle Star's back. He had learned that Crepe Myrtle Star had joined the Ryuka and had become the Ryuka's first Supreme Elder. His status was second only to Zhuan. Currently, Crepe Myrtle Star was the strongest person in Ryuka. When he left the lower star world in the future, Ryuka would be under Crepe Myrtle Star's protection. Zhuowen naturally hoped that Crepe Myrtle Star's cultivation could progress further. Zhuowen, Dragon Xiaotian, Feng Xiao, Lu Hantian, and some other familiar relatives and friends chatted for a while and told them his intention to save Moyan Wushang. You've gathered all the divine medicines for the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Saint Pill? Feng Xiao's beautiful eyes brightened. She already knew about Moyan Wushang's situation. She knew that Moyan Wushang had deep feelings for Zhuan. Now that she knew that Zhuan wanted to refine the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Saint Pill, she was naturally overjoyed. Long Xiaotian, Lu Hantian, and the others were also overjoyed. Moyan Wushang was their friend from that era. When they first learned that Moyan Wushang had lost his 6 desires and was unconscious, they were also sad for a long time. Now that they knew that Moyan Wushang was about to wake up, they were naturally very happy. For the next few days, Zhuan basically stayed in his room to adjust his state. The 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Saint Pill was a top-tier, ascending heaven-level divine pill. The difficulty of refining it was much higher than ordinary ascending heaven-level divine pills. Although Zhuowen's alchemy skills had reached half a step into ascending heaven level, this was related to Moyan Wushang's life. Zhuowen was very careful and could not afford to make any mistakes. When his state was at its peak, Zhuowen began to refine the pill. This furnace of divine pills, Zhuowen refined it for a full 10 days and 10 nights. He refined it very slowly and hoped that every step would be perfect. 10 days later, a strong medicinal power rushed out from Zhuowen's room and turned into a column that rushed into the depths of the sky. The momentum was very great and it attracted the attention of many Ryuka people. It seems that the pill is done. Dragon Xiaotian and Feng Xiao walked out of the room, looked at each other, and rushed towards Zhuan. After a while, many Ryuka people gathered outside Zhuowen's door. The door of Zhuowen's room was pushed open, and Zhuowen's eyes lit up as he walked out slowly. Dragon Xiaotian and Feng Xiao hurried forward and asked, Did it succeed? The corners of Zhuowen's mouth revealed a smile and said, Succeeded. Wushang can be saved. Zhuan was very happy. After so many years, he could finally wake Moyan Wushang up personally. Boom, boom. At the same time, in another pavilion in Ryuka, a vast aura surged. Then, a terrifying energy appeared in the sky and continuously condensed. Then, it fell one after another, forming an earth-shattering tribulation. Someone is going through a tribulation. Who broke through? Lu Hantian looked at the terrifying tribulation in the distant sky and was puzzled. That's the tribulation at the peak of ascending heaven. Brother Crepe Myrtle has successfully broken through. Let's go. Zhuan laughed and led everyone towards Crepe Myrtle's star, stopping at the periphery of the tribulation. Crepe Myrtle's star was indeed there. Although the tribulation was terrifying, Crepe Myrtle's star was not afraid at all. He had obtained the inheritance of the immortal bird, and his combat power was monstrous. Chapter 35:15. Awakening, Brother Ziwei. Congratulations on reaching the peak of Tong Tian Lord Peak. Zhuan stood in front of everyone and cupped his fists toward Ziwei Star Monarch, who had passed the heavenly tribulation, with a joyful smile on his face. Ziwei Star Monarch landed in front of Zhuan and said sincerely, Brother Zhuan, if not for your rank 8 marrow cleansing goo pill, I would not have been able to break through in such a short time. Ziwei Star Monarch was on the verge of breaking through, but he needed an opportunity. He needed at least hundreds of years of exploration before he could break through. But the rank 8 marrow cleansing goo pill provided by Zhuowen was too useful to him. It forcibly shortened the time to over 10 days, allowing him to successfully break through. We are brothers, I will help you if I can. Zhuan waved his hand, telling Ziwei Star Monarch not to be so courteous. When, you have successfully refined the 6 desires spirit condensing Saint pill, when do you plan to give it to Wushang? Feng Xiao asked. Zhuowen's eyes shone brightly. In Zhuowen's room, Zhuan stood in the middle of the living room. Other than him, there were Long Xiaotian, Feng Xiao, Lu Hantian, Wu Dai and Ziwei Star Monarch. Ziwei Star Monarch also learned about Mo Yen Wushang from Lu Hantian's explanation. He was moved by Mo Yen Wushang's magnificent feat back then. Zhuan gently took out a jade coffin. In the jade coffin, there was a beautiful woman lying quietly. The woman's eyes were closed, as if she had fallen into a sweet sleep. She was like a sleeping beauty. The moment he saw the woman, Zhuowen's lips trembled, his shoulders trembled, and tears flashed in his eyes. She was Mo Yen Wushang, the woman who had given up everything for Zhuan. She was also a pain in Zhuowen's heart that he could not let go of. Zhuan opened the coffin and fed the 6 desires spirit condensing Saint pill into Moyan Wushang's mouth. The elixir melted like snow and melted into Moyan Wushang's mouth. Then, the blazing power of the elixir filled Moyan Wushang's mouth and entered deep into her body. At that moment, Moyan Wushang's entire body was glowing. It was sparkling and translucent, like a crystal. It was dazzling and mysterious. Endless rays of light emanated from Moyan Wushang's body and surged in all directions. Zhuowen and the others retreated to the door. They looked at Mo Yen Wushang, who was glowing. They were very nervous. They hoped that a miracle would happen. They hoped that the 6 desires spirit condensing Saint pill would wake Mo Yen Wushang up. Time passed, and Zhuan became more and more nervous. Moyan of Wushang's body was emitting a very strong light, and it was getting stronger and stronger. It enveloped the entire room. When the light gradually faded, Zhuowen and the others entered the vicinity of the jade coffin. Zhuan was disappointed to find that Moyan Wushang's eyes were still closed. She was still in a deep sleep. When Wushang moved, suddenly, Feng Xiao's beautiful eyes revealed a look of surprise. She reminded Zhuan. Zhuan's body trembled. His eyes fell on Moyan Wushang's hands. He was excited to find that Moyan Wushang's hands had indeed moved. Then, Zhuan saw that Moyan Wushang's eyelashes began to move. Then her eyelids, which had not opened for a long time, slowly opened. Zhuan saw a pair of beautiful eyes. Moyan Wushang's beautiful eyes were full of confusion. She squinted her eyes, as if she had not adapted to the strong light here. Moyan Wushang adapted to the strong light and finally saw the face of the man standing in front of her. Her beautiful eyes were at a loss at first, and then they revealed a look of surprise. She hugged Zhuan. Zhuan's eyes revealed tenderness. He gently hugged Moyan Wushang. The two did not speak for a long time. They just hugged like this as if time had stopped. As for Long Xiaoyan, Feng Xiao, and the others, they all consciously left the room. After a long time, Moyan Wushang released Zhuan. Her beautiful face was full of crimson. Zhuan, I was a little impulsive just now. I hope you don't mind too much. Moyan Wushang's eyes squinted. She did not dare to look at Zhuan. She was a little shy. Zhuan hugged Moyan Wushang and took a deep breath. He whispered in Moyan Wushang's ear, Wushang, you have to be careful. Are you willing to be my wife? Moyan Wushang had done too much for him. She had even lost her life because of him. Moreover, Moyan Wushang had never asked for anything in return. He knew that Moyan Wushang had done this because she liked him. He could completely imagine that a woman was silently sacrificing for him. But because of Mu Chenxue, she did not dare to approach him, let alone hope to be with him. She was only in the corner, looking at his back with envious eyes, silently wishing him and Mu Chenxue happiness. Zhuan completely understood Moyan Wushang's feelings for him. This debt of love was too heavy. He had to repay it, and he had to make it up to Moyan Wushang. The moment Moyan Wushang heard this sentence, his mind went blank, and his delicate body trembled violently. This was because he was excited. Moyan Wushang didn't expect Zhuan to say such words. Tears involuntarily fell from her eyes. She silently pushed Zhuan away. Looking at the confused expression on the latter's face, she cried and shook her head. I can't accept it. Zhuan was at a loss. He took a step forward and said, Wushang, I know what you are worried about. I have already told Chen Shui about your matter. Chen Shui is willing to accept you. She is like a sister to you. You can coexist peacefully in the future. We can live happily together. Moyan Wushang's cheeks were full of tears. She was still retreating, and she stopped Zhuan from approaching. Zhuan stopped. He looked at the beautiful woman in front of him. He suddenly had a feeling that there was an invisible barrier between them. This feeling was very strange. It made Zhuan feel a little irritable. Wushang, what happened? Zhuan asked, somewhat puzzled. Moyan Wushang shook her head and said, I just woke up. I am a little tired. Can you let me rest for a while? Zhuan opened his mouth, but in the end he nodded dejectedly. He took out a jade bottle from his sleeve and placed it on the table. These are all divine pills for strengthening one's foundation. Wushang, you just woke up and your vitality is weak. These divine pills will be of great benefit to you. Zhuan said. Moyan Wushang took the jade bottle. Without looking at him, she said, Thank you, I will accept these divine pills. You can leave first. Let me rest for a while. Zhuan nodded and left the room. For some reason, Zhuan felt that Moyan Wushang was a little strange after waking up. It was as if there was something that was hard to say. Why did you come out so quickly? Why didn't you accompany Wushang more? Outside the door, Feng Xiao, Long Xiaonan and the others were all there. When they saw Zhuan come out so quickly, they all revealed a look of surprise. They felt that it was very strange. Zhuan smiled bitterly and said, Wushang just woke up. She said that she needed to rest, so I didn't disturb her. That's right. Wushang has been asleep for so long. Her mind is exhausted. We don't need to disturb her today. Let's come back another day. Feng Xiao nodded. She felt that Zhuowen's words were reasonable. Everyone dispersed. Before Zhuowen left, he took a deep look at Moyan Wushang's room. He sighed and entered another room in the courtyard. In the room, Moyan Wushang hugged her knees and cried silently. Chapter 35:16. Emotionless and desireless, Moyan Wushang. Do you still not understand? Didn't I explain everything to you in your divine soul during the years you were in a deep slumber? You are the second desireless in this starry sky. Although you seem to have recovered, 6 of your 7 emotions and 6 desires were once severed. Now, if you want to sever them again, it will be much easier than before. Just the fact that you are a desireless means that you can't escape the responsibility that you bear. Although you don't have the bloodline of the Nuwa clan in your body and you are a bastard, you have severed your 6 desires. Thus, you have the obligation to become a member of the Nuwa clan. After you enter the Nuwa clan, the king of our clan will completely change your bloodline and let you become a true member of the Nuwa clan. That is a supreme honor. And this is also your only chance to leave this disgusting starry sky of the lower realms. An indifferent voice resounded in Moyan Wushang's divine soul. The source of this voice was actually an insignificant red dot in Moyan Wushang's divine soul. This red dot was very strange. It was soundless and had no aura at all. It was as if it was a part of Moyan Wushang's divine soul. If this red dot had any strange aura, Zhuowen's sharp divine soul would have noticed it long ago. I said that I don't want to leave this place. My friends and family are here. No matter how good the Nuwa clan is, I don't want to go. Moyan Wushang said stubbornly. You have no choice but to go. You must know that our Nuwa clan has implemented the emotionless and desireless plan for many starry sky fruits. There are simply too few people who can successfully become emotionless or desireless. Many people have died in many starry sky fruits, but not a single emotionless or desireless has appeared. However, this starry sky of the lower realms is somewhat inconceivable. In just a few eras, 2 desireless have appeared. You can't escape. You have to leave this place. Also, you know how powerful our clan is, right? As long as the experts of our clan descend, it will be easy to destroy this starry sky of the lower realms. If you are still so stubborn, after we take you away, we will directly destroy this starry sky fruit. Let it die prematurely. The red dot's voice sounded again. This time, it was a blatant threat. He felt that Moyan Wushang was too disobedient. You can't destroy the starry sky. Moyan Wushang, on the other hand, was terrified. While she was sleeping, she learned a lot from the red dot. She knew that they were only in the starry sky of the lower worlds. It was just one of the countless starry sky fruits in the primordial Hong Meng tree, so it was insignificant. In the vicinity of the primordial Hong tree, there was a world called the 100 Territories. In this world, there were far too many heaven-crushing cultivators. However, they could only be considered to be at the bottom of the hierarchy. There were even more powerful beings who were more powerful than the heaven-crushing stage cultivators. Each and every one of them could easily destroy the starry sky fruit on the primordial Hong tree. The Nuwa clan behind the red dot was one of the clans in one of the 100 domains. There were many experts in the clan, so destroying the starry sky fruit they were in would indeed be a piece of cake. If you don't want this starry sky to be destroyed, then listen to me. The Nuwa clan's experts will soon descend, and they will take you away. As long as you are obedient, this starry sky will be very safe. And that little lover of yours, you can't have an affair with him. Otherwise, he will die a horrible death. Your body must be complete and flawless. Only then can you accept the next trial. The moment you become a true merciless one, you will become the new goddess of the Nuwa clan, and I will be the hero of the Nuwa clan. At that time, we will enjoy unparalleled glory and wealth. The red dot's voice became very proud, as if it had thought of an ideal situation. Moyan Wushang, on the other hand, was dejected. However, he was silently apologizing to Zhuowen in his heart. In the next few days, Jun went to find Moyan Wushang every day. However, the latter refused to see him because he had not rested well. Zhuowen gradually realized that something was wrong. Moyan Wushang's attitude towards him was too strange. Could it be that something had happened? Or did he do something wrong? Long Xiaotian, Feng Xiao, and the others also knew about Moyan Wushang. They also wanted to visit Moyan Wushang, but unfortunately, they were also refused. For more than 10 days, Moyan Wushang was almost cooped up in his room, refusing to see anyone. This made Long Xiaoyan, Feng Xiao, and the others very depressed. However, they did not think too much about it. They all thought that Moyan Wushang had been sleeping for too long, and for a while, he had not adapted, so his temperament might have changed. Zhuowen, who had been refused entry for many days, finally did not knock on Moyan Wushang's door. His thoughts were the same as Feng Xiao and the others. They thought that Moyan Wushang should be allowed to recover. Zhuowen planned to leave the outside world and go to the old site of the Heavenly Armor Star to find traces of Mu Chenxue. He did not want to delay this matter any longer. When Mu Chenxue was found, he planned to come with Mu Chenxue to find Moyan Wushang to have a heart-to-heart talk, hoping to help Moyan Wushang recover. Walking out of the outside world, Zhuowen went straight to the border between the host region and the Heavenly Moat. A few days later, Zhuowen arrived at the dock set up by the host region at the Heavenly Moat. The Heavenly Moat lay in front of him, like an abyss, so deep that he could not see the bottom. This Heavenly Moat was said to have existed since ancient times and had a long history. No one knew if there was an end to this Heavenly Moat. It was said that there was a cultivator who wanted to go deep into the Heavenly Moat to explore. After falling for decades, he still did not reach the bottom of the Heavenly Moat. In the end, he had no choice but to return. But today, the Heavenly Moat dock was actually sealed. On the dock, many cultivators gathered, all protesting. What's going on? Why is the dock sealed? Zhuowen casually asked a cultivator working at the dock. Fellow Taoist, don't you know? Recently, a strange beast suddenly appeared in the depths of the Heavenly Moat. This strange beast appears and disappears like a ghost. Its speed is extremely fast. Many cultivators who crossed the Heavenly Moat were all swallowed by this strange beast. Among them, there are many Tao-confirming experts. There are even Heavenly Master experts. The cultivator said in horror. Strange beast? What does it look like? Zhuowen was surprised. There were indeed many strange beasts in the Heavenly Moat, but their strength was very ordinary. When Zhuowen had just reached Tao-confirming not long ago, he had crossed the Heavenly Moat without any danger. Generally speaking, cultivators above the Tao-confirming realm could smoothly cross the Heavenly Moat. But now, even Heavenly Master cultivators had died in the hands of that strange beast, which made Zhuowen feel strange. When did such a terrifying strange beast appear in the Heavenly Moat? Even Heavenly Master cultivators were not its opponents. Chapter 35:17. The Heavenly Chasm. Fellow cultivator, I advise you to leave this place. Don't even think about going to the Heavenly Chasm. This place is an abyss of no return. When the cultivator saw that Zhuowen had no intention of leaving, he couldn't help but kindly remind Zhuowen to leave as soon as possible. Zhuowen smiled and nodded before continuing to walk towards the pier. You really aren't afraid of death at all. Forget it, there will always be a group of people who don't believe in heresy. If they really lose their lives, then it's really over. The cultivator saw that Zhuowen wasn't listening to his advice and didn't say anything else. He just shook his head and sighed. At this moment, many cultivators had gathered at the pier. Most of these cultivators were planning to pass through the Heavenly Chasm and head to the Demon Realm. And in front of these cultivators, a middle-aged man was blocking the edge of the pier. At the same time, Zhuowen also discovered that there was a sealing power at the edge of the pier. This sealing power was quite extraordinary. It was a god of creation restriction. Everyone, I'm also thinking about your lives. A terrifying mutant beast has indeed appeared in the Heavenly Chasm. Even a powerful being from the Heavenly Chasm died in the mouth of this mutant beast. If you think you're stronger than the Heavenly Chasm Lord, then pretend I didn't say anything. The middle-aged man suddenly released a powerful aura, instantly intimidating the noisy crowd. This person was actually a god of creation. Fellow cultivator, we're originally from the demon realm. We came to the Xianmi Heaven domain just to do some small business. When we first arrived, why wasn't there this mutant beast? Now that we're about to leave, you're saying that such a mutant beast suddenly appeared? This is too much of a coincidence. If this is true, then we deserve to die in the heavenly chasm. But if it's just a lie made up by you, then don't blame us for sending a message to the demon realm cultivators and asking them to come and take us back. At that time, you'll be responsible for it. An elder slowly walked out from the crowd. This elder's aura was not weaker than the middle-aged man's. In fact, he was even stronger. He was a peak god of creation. Beside the old man, there was a beautiful young girl. As soon as this old man appeared, everyone stopped talking. It was obvious that this old man's reputation was not low. Hearing this, the middle-aged man's expression changed slightly. If this matter really reached the ears of the cultivators from the demon area, he would be in big trouble. Since you insist on entering the heavenly moat, don't blame me for not warning you if anything happens. The middle-aged man's face turned slightly unsightly as he released the restrictions on the dock. There's no need for you to worry, fellow Taoist. The old man smiled. With a wave of his sleeve, he took out a huge flying divine artifact. Following which, the crowd on the pier followed the old man and entered the flying artifact. When Zhuan saw this scene, he understood that these people should be caravans from the demon domain. They should be here to do business in the Xianmi heavenly domain. The old man was obviously the leader of the caravan. After the barrier around the dock was lifted, Zhuan took the opportunity to leave the dock. He took out his flying divine artifact and left the dock. Grandpa, look, that person doesn't seem to be from our caravan. He actually crossed the heavenly moat alone. On the deck of the caravan spaceship, the young woman beside the old man noticed Zhuan leaving and couldn't help but speak up. The old man didn't care at all. Don't worry about it. This person should be a cultivator from the Xianmi heavenly domain. Maybe he wants to go to the demon area. His aura is not strong, yet he dares to cross the heavenly moat alone. He will most likely die in the heavenly moat. The young woman curled her lips and didn't pay much attention to Zhuan. She trusted her grandpa's judgment. Since her grandpa said that this cultivator would die in the heavenly moat, then he would definitely die. She couldn't be bothered to pay attention to a dead person. Not long after Zhuan left, the caravan spaceship also set off. The gravity of the heavenly moat was still very terrifying. Zhuan also discovered that the gravity of the heavenly moat now seemed to be much more terrifying than when he had first arrived. In addition, the number of all kinds of strange beasts in the heavenly moat had also increased. There was no lack of strange beasts at the Dao validation realm. One had to know that when he had first entered the heavenly moat, there weren't many Dao validation realm strange beasts. They were relatively rare. Now, he could see them every once in a while. The heavenly moat has become much more dangerous than before. What happened? Zhuan frowned. With the current level of danger of the heavenly moat, if Zhuan was still at the heavenly Dao master level, he would probably die in the heavenly moat before he could cross 1/3 of the journey. Pucci. Zhuan flicked his finger and killed a heavenly fate realm strange beast blocking his way. His expression didn't look good. He looked towards the depths of the heavenly moat. For some reason, he felt that there was an eye in the deepest part of the heavenly moat that was watching his every move. This feeling was very strong and lingered in Zhuan's mind for a long time. This place is too strange. It's better to leave quickly. Zhuan increased the speed of the space-time roulette and instantly fled. He wanted to cross the heavenly moat in the shortest time possible. The current heavenly moat made him feel a little uneasy. He didn't want to stay here for too long. Boom! Not long after Zhuan fled, a black bolt of lightning silently appeared in the depths of the heavenly moat and instantly struck the space-time roulette. This black bolt of lightning was very strange. It wrapped around the space-time roulette and emitted crackling sounds. It was like a giant hand that was pulling the space-time roulette, causing it to suddenly stop moving forward. Zhuan's expression changed slightly. The black bolt of lightning flowed along the surface of the space-time roulette and entered the roulette to attack Zhuan. Zhuan's eyes were cold as he punched out. Purple light surged and directly hit the black bolt of lightning. Crack, crack, crack. What surprised Juan was that when his fist landed on the black bolt of lightning, the black bolt of lightning immediately dissipated. It was simply too weak. Then, Juan tore at the black bolt of lightning and completely annihilated it. This black bolt of lightning contains a trace of fragmented divine power. Although it's very weak, its power is unparalleled. It has surpassed the energy of the heavenly Tao. Juan's eyes were filled with surprise. He had originally thought that he was the only one who could use fragmented divine power in this galaxy. But now he had discovered a second case. Although the fragmented divine power in the black bolt of lightning was extremely thin and far inferior to the primordial chaos technique that he cultivated, it was still extremely impressive to be able to contain a trace of fragmented divine power. Its energy level had already surpassed most of the living beings in this galaxy. Juan put away the space-time roulette and his gaze fell on the depths of the heavenly moat again. It was pitch black there and nothing could be seen. However, Juan was extremely excited as if he had discovered a new continent. He no longer moved forward. Instead, purple light flickered around his body and he began to rapidly descend. He wanted to find the source of the black bolt of lightning and see what was causing trouble. In the depths of the heavenly moat, a black figure slowly opened its eyes. This pair of eyes was black and the same color as the surroundings. The black figure roared and its voice was filled with a trace of anxiety. Then, the black figure suddenly rushed out and disappeared into the depths of the heavenly moat at an extremely fast speed. This heavenly moat is really dark. It's almost bottomless. Chapter 35:18. Black Dragon. Suddenly, Juan sensed a violent fluctuation. Then, he discovered that there was a fierce gust of wind in the darkness below, and something was rushing over from the darkness below. Juan's divine sense was very alert, and he immediately reacted. Then he punched out, and the purple intent exploded, colliding head-on with a terrifying object below. Bang, bang, bang. The black shadow below roared, and instantly broke through the purple intent, rushing toward Juan. Meanwhile, Juan had already quickly retreated. It was too dark below, and although his divine sense was alert, it was already suppressed by a mysterious power, so he did not have the advantage above. So fast! Not long after Juan retreated, he discovered that the black shadow had already appeared behind him, and a huge tail suddenly swept over. Its target was the back of Juan's head. Juan instantly used the 5 great mysteries of Pangu, and punched out, fiercely colliding with the tail, and a terrifying energy ripple exploded. Meanwhile, Juan continuously retreated, falling into the depths of the darkness. Juan's expression changed slightly. He had somewhat guessed the black shadow's goal. It wanted to make him go into the depths of the darkness, and then attack him. He was very clear that the deeper he went into the darkness, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Juan did not even think, and summoned his clone to merge with his main body. His aura instantly skyrocketed, and his strength rose steadily. Boom! Juan punched out, and like a rising purple sun, it was dazzling, and it was difficult to look at directly. The black shadow that originally had the upper hand was repeatedly pushed back by Juan's punch, and it was actually suppressed by Juan. Bang! 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 The two instantly tangled together, and each collision was like the collapse of heaven and earth. The surrounding darkness seemed to tremble and disperse. It was too terrifying. The black shadow continuously roared. It was very angry that it was actually suppressed by a mere human. At the same time, the black shadow also felt that it was inconceivable because it discovered that the human in front of it actually had the power of shattering God. This was a power that could only be grasped by breaking heaven tier elites, but this human clearly had not broken heaven, and actually had this level of power in advance. Wasn't this a bit too heaven-defying? Trying to escape? Juan's divine senses were sharp, and he immediately sensed that the shadow was trying to escape into the darkness. He took a step forward and blocked the black shadow's path. He punched out again and again, and the purple light from his fists filled the sky, illuminating the surroundings into a mysterious purple world. The black shadow was helpless. Its speed was terrifying, but it couldn't shake off the human in front of it. Zhuan cultivated the primordial chaos art. The speed of his movement technique was absolutely one of the best under this starry sky. Although this black shadow was extremely fast, it was only about the same speed as him. Zhuan punched out again and the black shadow was completely suppressed. Moreover, it was beaten by Zhuan to the point that it could only retreat towards the top of the natural chasm. Soon, the two of them left the dark area of the natural moat. Zhuan finally saw the true face of the black shadow. This was a black dragon that was several thousand feet long. This black dragon was very strange. The scales on its surface were actually metal, and there was a strange and terrifying black lightning on the metal scales. And this black lightning was not unfamiliar to Zhuan. It was the black lightning that contained a sliver of shattered divine power that had attacked him at the beginning. Zhuan's expression was strange as he looked at this black dragon. He felt that this black dragon was not like a living creature of flesh and blood, but more like a kind of mechanical metal life form. This was because the scales on the surface of this black dragon were basically exuding a metallic luster. If it didn't move, it would definitely be mistaken for a black dragon statue that was forged from metal. The black dragon roared, and the black lightning around its body became denser. In an instant, the area of several billion miles was covered by black lightning, forming a domain of black lightning. Looks like it's for real. Zhuan's body flickered with purple light, resisting the terrifying black lightning around him. His gaze was solemn as he looked at the black dragon that was charging towards him. He was not afraid. He took a step forward and instantly engaged in battle with the black dragon. The domain of black lightning was too big, and the sound was unprecedentedly loud. The living creatures on both sides of the natural moat could hear it clearly. Some of the weaker living creatures were so scared that they hid. Not far away from the domain of black lightning, the spaceship of the caravan that Zhuan encountered was flying in an orderly manner. What is that? What a terrifying energy fluctuation. A domain of black lightning suddenly appeared there. On the deck of the spaceship, a cultivator hurried to the front of the old man and reported with a panicked gaze. The old man stood at the bow of the spaceship and ordered the spaceship to stop first. He looked at the domain of black lightning with a solemn gaze. "Grandpa, what is going on? That place is so terrifying." The young girl standing beside the old man's beautiful eyes were filled with fear. Although her cultivation was not high, she was not a fool. The energy fluctuation in front of her was so terrifying that she could tell at a glance that there was a supreme expert inside. Moreover, this expert was very strong. Their spaceship might not even be able to withstand a single slap from him. There are experts fighting inside, and such a terrifying energy fluctuation. I'm afraid that only an expert at the pinnacle of the heavenly master level can cause such a commotion. The old man's gaze was complicated, with a trace of fear and reverence. What should we do now? That domain is too big, and where it is, space and time collapse, and black holes appear everywhere. Our spaceship can't even get close. Once we get close, I'm afraid it will collapse. The cultivator who reported said in fear. Let's stop at a safe distance first. We'll wait and see. We definitely can't go over now. If we go over, we'll be courting death. We can only wait for the battle between the two experts to end before we can go over. The old man said in a deep voice. At the old man's command, the cultivators on the deck all got busy. When the spaceship stopped at a safe distance, the people on the spaceship were relieved. They looked at the battlefield in the distance. They were all curious as to who it was that could cause such a huge commotion. It's a huge black dragon and a human expert fighting. The old man looked into the distance and vaguely saw the scene inside the black lightning domain. However, the scene was too blurry. He could only make out that the two sides were a human and a dragon. Black dragon? Could it be that the black dragon is the strange beast that the person in charge of the docks said has been appearing and disappearing in Heaven's Moat? It said that even the heavenly master died in its hands. The young girl thought of something and could not help but say. The old man took a deep breath and said, "It's very possible. I thought that the person in charge of the docks was talking nonsense. Now, it seems like it's true. Moreover, Heaven's Moat has become very strange. It's much more dangerous than when we came here, and the gravity is also much stronger. If this senior didn't encounter the black dragon first, I'm afraid we would be in trouble. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.